and why we protect it so much. Because it's great to have debates when it's always about the peace, positivity, and progress. No argument, disrespect, even with the difference of opinion. It's always been that way. Our community is peace, positivity, and progress, and our community is about that 150%. So since the day I made the show, um, it's always been that way, and you'll even see on the little ticker at the bottom here. It was before the progress got added, but it says peace and positivity to all at the bottom. That's how green I am. It's just a little teeny message like that big. But really, it's who we are. And it's always been that way, just like last night's show. So, speaking of one of the guests, I want to bring up the beautiful Silky Southern Tea. She's joining us today for another show. I don't even know, Silky, good morning. Do you know much about this intoxicated person report at the Moose Lodge? That-
Not other than what I listened to yesterday at work. I was listening to that old episode and I caught most of it. I was actually shocked that this hasn't been a thing. Um,
well, it has, but like I don't know, when we had that conversation that night, that's when I was just like, holy crap, like this, because no, it was the whole, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's the whole like, Ellie wanting to know where Ethan and Zaina were, but not really saying. But then you read the PCA, and the PCA reads that BF saw them from approximately 9 p.m. until 1:45 a.m. and then says that she knows that everybody returned at 1:45 a.m. To me, that makes me think that you were there the whole time with them at the party, and then you walked home with them.
yeah.
I don't know. So it's been one of those things, and so this intoxicated person report, you look at the event that the argument that took place, altercation at the Sigma Chi party, and then there's another altercation of an intoxicated person, of a guy telling his girlfriend that some dude's messing with him, and you know,
Right.
it's just, I don't know, it's just all kind of weird. Like things, like I've always told people, planes don't just fall out of the sky. There's always a lead up to events before that big kaboom. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I was when I was going through there and listening, the fact that it was not on a police report, I don't know if it is now, but from what she said back then, it was not. And when you have a crime of this magnitude and this many questions and this many victims, you have to, in my opinion, explore every possibility. Um, and I don't know that, just my opinion, but I do not know that the Idaho uh, or the Moscow police did that before they arrested Brian Koberger. So it's very
well,
interesting.
that's the funny thing about Moscow. You can rank up really quick without writing any reports, because it's the no report. The no report is it's crazy. It's crazy. The the only I don't even understand how they can. I don't know. You got officers in their join us recruitment video stating that come to Moscow, because it's a small department. You can rank up quicker there than you can in most other agencies because of how small it is.
Right.
Uh, but every time you go through the logs, it's no report taken, no report taken, no report taken, no report taken.
Are
So
they
it's
that
like,
busy? I mean, really?
it's such a small. I don't understand. I mean, it's only, I think it's like 30,000 people. It's a very You can literally drive through the town in like minutes.
Right.
It's not even, so I don't, how they do, they must be busting a lot of people for underage drinking or something, because I don't know how they do it. What's up, everybody? AG Villainous. Good morning, everybody.
I have to ask CJ
Yeah.
because I say this every time. Are you wearing pants? I'm wearing pants. Only
Yeah,
because it's 30 degrees.
yeah, I'm wearing sweatpants. I got the sweatpants to go with the gray and the gray. You know.
You, you know what's funny
Hmm.
is there are a lot of creators that admit to not wearing pants when they do lives or when they film, and I know basically about 90% of the time that is me. Also, you have a shirt on, you got your hair and makeup done, and like boom, you're ready to go. You just don't ever have a live where you have to stand up.
I mean, that would be weird, wouldn't it? Standing up for a whole, oh my gosh, 4 hours or something. That'd be that'd be crazy. I don't know. That would be weird though, having to
Yes.
stand up while you're doing a show.
Mm-mm. No.
But yeah, no, I got my sweats on, my outfit.
Yeah. It's
But it's
cold.
good to know. It's good to know you're wearing pants though.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel good. Like it's this early in the morning on a non-work day for me, and I've got myself together. I've got my second cup of coffee, and I'm wearing pants. Like I am going to set the world on
You
fire
are
today.
you are accomplished already.
I know.
And McDonald's is still serving breakfast, Silky. Damn. Damn.
Dang.
That's early. That's early. What's up?
Exactly.
Chicken
I'm
79. All before McDonald's stopped selling breakfast.
I
Damn.
know. On
That's
it.
good.
Fire.
What'd you think? So did you listen to the episode last night? With the whole
Oh,
dot stuff? Shout out
yes.
Swamp Rose and Gia. Thank you for hopping in
Yeah.
last night.
That was really good. They were good guests.
Thank
I
you.
did. I had actually listened to part of it when you sent me the link yesterday while I was working, also, and then I caught a big part of it last night too. I don't think I caught the end of it, but I caught the majority of it with Dot. And yeah, there was, in the last show we were talking about semantics and the way that people say something. Um, my first red flag was to me, I mean, and I know everybody's different, but Dot did not talk semantically. Is that a word? The way that a very young person would, And I'm like, I'm not sure about this because I've got a teenage daughter. She's only like 3-4 years younger than the victims, and I know how she is, and that is not the way that she would express herself.
So anybody that doesn't understand what that means, can you explain to them what you mean by semantics and how you relate that to the conversation?
Yeah, I don't know what the Webster's dictionary says about semantics, but
I can,
but you can look it up. But it's basically like it has to do with the way that things are said, the words used, the positioning of the words, things, or sometimes when people disagree uh, over a concept or something, it's not so much that they're disagreeing; it's the way that people say something that can be misconstrued. So, like, there's a lot of stuff, but basically, it's about speech.
okay. And I to me it didn't sound like anybody, even during the show. I was like, yeah, there's no voice changer, and it definitely didn't sound. But that's just my opinion. I know everybody has their own, but in just my opinion, and I don't know. You definitely got to watch the end because the end is I think it's probably the best part because that's when myself, Swamp Rose, and Gia, we all kind of talked about the conversation in its totality and kind of where we were coming from and what we thought about the whole conversation. They both had a lot of very interesting things to say at the end. It was I
Hmm.
thought it was a great show. I thought, and shout out again to them both. I thought it was a wonderful collaboration. And they have a great channel too. So I would definitely love to have you on sometime when maybe all four of us can get together or something like that.
That would be fun.
Yeah, it
I'd
was
like to
a
meet
yeah, because they're I don't know, they're like so similar to my mind. Both of them are. It's I don't know. It's just very interesting going through that together. So um, it's a guy or changed or whatever. I don't know. I haven't really paid too much attention to it since all this shit went down. Honestly,
Yeah, I
last
couldn't
year
tell
I was
either.
like, after that, I'm like, yo, it's already the cat's out the bag. Uh, it's done. Other
Yeah,
people want to keep talking about it, but no, it's out the bag. So,
I wasn't sure about that same part, male or female. I think female. Uh,
it was a guy.
was it a guy?
Yeah,
Huh.
that's when
I
because
just
after my live when they came on that night, after my live that night, they went on to somebody else's panel. So they were already at the end of the episode. I start putting the pressure on, or the conversation, I should say. I start putting the pressure on. Uh, there's slips, there's easy outs and all sorts of stuff going. So it was he was already frazzled. Went on to another panel, got frazzled even more. So it, and then on accident turned their camera on, and you saw a guy with his hat, a blue hat backwards,
oh,
screaming into a microphone, and everybody's like, "Whoa, wait a minute!"
wow.
And then people started, since they saw the camera, then they, oh yeah, this is who it is. Listen to the voice, compare. Oh yeah, look at the pictures. Yeah, that's, I mean, so, and people prior had already been working with that person and knew what they were about. And after that, because they were already reaching out, letting other content creators know, hey, this person's out there going by this or this or this or this or this or this, just keep an eye out. They're, you know, mentioning things like this. So it was like
Uh,
everybody kind of had a little idea for a while that somebody was coming into the show like that. But
let's see. I couldn't tell. I thought to me it sounded. I mean, the voice was deep, but I thought it could have been a female.
it
Sounded
could
like
have.
that was a smoker for a lot of years and stuff like that. That's kind of the
Yeah.
vibe he gave.
That's, yeah.
I wasn't sure, but I could tell CJ, and I had not listened to that prior to you giving me the link. I came in the next day or two when you were on a tear one morning about that whole thing. And
Oh, yeah.
I walked into. I was
Yeah.
like, holy moly! What I walked into.
Yeah.
It was a morning live, but anyway, like this. But anyway, I could tell by listening to it yesterday. From the very beginning, you were grilling them like you don't usually grill your guests that way. What made you think the hoodie was blue? Could there have been any, like, you were like, you asked such detailed questions.
Well, with the blue one, I was trying to get them to slip
Right,
because, it's
right.
like your stories in the morning. And I'm like, okay, what about how'd you tell what color hoodie it was if it was dark out? What was the light source? And I wanted to see, oh well, I could see the hoodie because of the light. Boom. You know what I mean? But somebody kind of fucked that up for me, but it is what it is. But yeah, I wouldn't say I was I wouldn't say I was grilling. I was definitely grilling at the end. Uh because at that point shit just got too. It was like, okay, you're just going too much with this shit, and I need like chat was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy, and I'm like, okay, this is you. You've already. I wanted you to say a whole bunch for everybody to really dig through the story
Right.
just to see, you know,
Right.
because they were only going on spreading little bits of this and that and this and that. I wanted to be inviting at first because in the beginning it was I'm going to say what I've been saying on everybody else's panel over and over and over and over and over, and that's when I'm like, "Hey, why don't you hop up on Wednesday?"
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, and then it starts, okay, well, what about this? And now I'm asking questions. I'm asking. And then it was like, okay, now after I'm asking these questions and this story is getting so crazy, it's like, okay, now it's time to reel it in. Now it's time to
Right.
really dig in, uh, and just kind of show the story for what it is. Because, like I've always said from the beginning, if like, even if you believe the story, how are they not the number one key witness? When
Right.
you have somebody stating that they talked to DM and DM straight up told Dot that the PCA statement is not even true.
Yeah.
Goodbye PCA.
Right.
So how,
Well,
even if you did believe it, how, like, they're gonna let somebody walk around having, I don't.
yeah. I mean, unless, and we've talked about, how messed up this whole thing is and how they had like tunnel vision and stuff like that, unless you want to hide it. But there just seems, and I think there's a lot of potential things that could be going on. But as far as Dot, there was just too many generic statements and not detailed, especially like there were already lots of red flags, but when you asked about the person that they talked to at the police station, it got really, really sketchy. I'm like, come on, come on. It's a
Mm-hmm.
small community and you can't remember and nobody called, they you something more believable would have been said, well, the detective that, there wasn't anybody in the office, but they gave me a card with this person's name and she
You
did
know
say
you're getting a business card if you're telling that story.
yes, and this is who I was supposed to talk to, Detective, John Doe, and I left several messages, but John Doe never called me back, never seemed interested. Something to that
Mm-mm,
effect,
mm-mm.
but no
Especially
details.
especially when you're stating that DM from firsthand statement from
Hmm.
DM herself that
Right,
the witness statement in the PCA is wrong, is not true. That alone, they're not letting you walk out of that office. They're
right.
not telling you, "Oh, thank you. Will get back to you."
Yeah, don't call
They're not.
us. We'll call you.
And if they are, if you know some, and even to top that off, when you say that you 100% know that BK is innocent, why are you not going to the DOJ if you feel there's corruption?
Right. Yeah.
And
There's a
anybody that does feel like their departments are corrupt, go to the DOJ. Go to the top.
yeah. It's not always helpful. Depends on who's involved, but you know. But still, yeah, you should. You should have exhausted every avenue if this is a true story and you want to get it out there and you want the truth to come out. Uh, yeah, it was very sketchy to me.
Yeah. This is a very interesting conversation. We're going to get into another one too. I was just curious what you thought about it. Definitely check out the end because They both had some really good points at the end after we were done watching the conversation. So definitely, if you guys didn't see that episode, check it out. It was last night. Um, Once you can, I think it's like maybe 35, 40 minutes until we start getting into the conversation. So thank you everybody for hopping in. Appreciate you so much. We're going to get into this conversation. Like I said, it took place a couple weeks after the crime, and it's a conversation about the incident report. And this is the first time this person hopped up on my panel. They hopped up on, I think it was another night right around that time period. And then the person that they mod for got upset that they were on my show talking this information because they weren't talking about it on their show, but they were laughing at her for what she wanted to talk about. And so I gave her an opportunity to go ahead and discuss it. And like I said, this was when I was still mostly doing just all sorts of whatever. There's not even a title in this show. I can't even tell you what. There is no episode. It's that new. It's not even an episode number. So it's crazy. I think this is before we even met, Silky. Or somewhere around right when I reached out to you. I mean, it's old. It's way old. Definitely.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know. I remember. I think I had been on your show, on your panel one time before New Year's that year. So it was somewhere right there in the beginning.
Probably. Yeah, maybe I hadn't even reached out yet then. It's early, you guys. Don't make fun of me. Like I said, I back then I got this microphones, I think somewhere in the middle of December, end of December, something like that. So back then I was using earbuds and a mobile device. I don't know. I don't remember why I had to do it that way. Maybe it worked better or something. I don't know. Or sounded better. Maybe the microphone on the computer sucked. I'm not sure. What's up? How you doing today? Thank you, Toby. All right, we're gonna go ahead and check this out. Give me 1 second. We're gonna. It's hey.
I love that. This person knows I love that name. I
Yeah,
love
it is.
that name.
It is. It's a funny name. Toby Lesenby's mustache is a tragedy. I love it. And the picture of the mustache,
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, give me 1 second. We'll go ahead and do the switcheroo. Thank you, Silky, for hopping in. Thank you, everybody, for hopping in. Please hit the like on either stream. It is the free way to help us out. We're going to get into this conversation here.
Yes. Hey, CJ.
Yes, how you doing? Is it all good?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. What's going on?
Okay. So what I wanted to say is that I'm signed up for all the Facebook groups for this case. Earlier I came across this post. So can I the post is allegedly, because I didn't post it. It's just a post that's posted on the actual Facebook post for the for the murder case. There's different little groups and things like that. So can I read a post from the group?
Yeah.
Okay. So the post that is posted by someone on the group, it on good authority. It says cousin is a town, but called in to help in Moscow. Once school started back up. Once school started, it says apparently investigation is looking directly at the Chai frat party.
So this is again, anybody that's just joining. This is uh a lady named Valerie. Let me shrink up the screen a little bit. This is a lady named Valerie. This was when the show originally aired 11/29/2022. I think I'd maybe talked about the Idaho Four maybe a couple nights. It wasn't. We had watched the press conferences, and then maybe talked about it on a couple shows. So it was just a few. And so this person, Valerie, was wanting to get on different panels on YouTube talk shows, and she was wanting to talk about the information that she was coming on with. And she hopped in one night. She saw me on Twitter. Said, "Hey, I got some information I want to share with you." So she sent it to me. And she's like, is it cool if I?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, come on." And so I looked at it. I'm like, "Yeah, that is interesting when it comes to this Idaho Four case, because had heard about that incident report or whatever. Her name is Valerie. And so, and at any point, Silky, if you ever want me to pause it and you want to discuss something that we're talking about, let me know too. And when I start showing stuff, I'm gonna zoom it in for you guys, so then you can see it a little closer. Now, like I said, I was only this was a couple weeks after I started the show, so I don't even think I was, the whole full screen for the video. I didn't. Yeah, it's a smaller version. I don't even think I started hitting full screen on it at this point. Like I said, I'm like green as shit in this video.
Oh my gosh, I know. I go back to my old stuff and see it, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh my god, why
This
did
is
I
the,
upload
this
that?
is out of all the old ones we've watched on the show. I think this has got to be the oldest one. I think that we've watched. I don't think we've watched anything before this point. So it's yeah, it's
Party Ethan and Zaina attended from 8. Sorry, let me start it over.
and everybody before everybody. Hey, no, it's this. This is from 11/29/2022. There's only so much. There's 2 weeks of information out there, so we all know that things are or might be different from when this conversation took place. So just keep that in mind, that this is not live. This is from 11/29/2022 with 2 weeks of information, which wasn't much.
It says, I on good authority. It says, cousin is a cop in a nearby, but called in to help in Moscow. It said once school started back up after the holiday. It says apparently the investigation is looking directly at the Sigma Chi frat party Ethan and Zaina attended from 8 to 9 that night. It says it did not have any update on their timeline after they left at 9 o'clock until 1:45. There was no timeline for them, correct?
Right. Yeah, we have.
Okay,
That's one
so
of the
then it
biggest
says,
questions.
but it did say, okay, so that's what she's saying. And then she said, but did say it looks like the investigation is on two suspects from the party that night. It says an update should publicly name them by the end of the week. It says Sigma has made their socials private and removed all info from Facebook going back a few years. They said they believe Ethan and Zaina were the main targets streaming from an argument that night, right?
Yeah,
It
that's what
says
I've thought.
downstairs survivors could hear two males. It says downstairs survivors could hear two males rummaging through the room above them, figured it was an after party, locked the door, went to bed. Then they discovered them in the morning. It said about 30 minutes before the 911 call, they called their friends at Sigma to come over, who in turn called the police. It's right across the street from whatever reason they believed it was people from the Sigma upstairs at 2:15 that night at the house. They believed the people from the party was up there, right? So they said the back door was left open, one dead in bed, other blocking them with their body. It says police just updated their FB to only the murders, which to me suggests something went on, fight, drugs, or etc., and spilled into anger later on that night, and then they got killed, you know? So when I read that, I was like, if this is true, there would be a police report about this stuff, right? So I went to the Idaho Moscow police report, their actual website. I'm about to send you the link, and you can pull it up and show everybody. I went and I seen all three of the police reports. What she's saying is true. I have the reports. Do you want to pull?
Now, the other stuff, that was just a social media post, obviously, because none of that was confirmed. But this is when it came to like what we were talking about last night, when going back to old stuff and you're kind of like re-listening to it, you know, because all this stuff, the whole conversation, we're going to get into the intoxicated person report. We're going to be, you know, you'll see this conversation about the intoxicated person report kind of just go like this in front of you. No, this was no, she's when the report is being referred to the intoxicated person. That's what the topic is for the show. So when she's talking about a report, the report is the intoxicated person report. Now with that was a social media post, because again, this was aired 11/29/2022. There was nothing out there from Ellie. The press conferences weren't saying nothing, and people were trying to just dig anywhere. You're talking 4chan, Reddit, you know, all of those places. And this is in the very beginning. I think, hell, this is probably around when, shortly after when Papa Rogers started, you know.
Yeah, because that Papa Rogers was early, because I think I even reported, and I didn't do very many episodes on Idaho back then. I only did like 3 or 4, and I'm pretty sure I did the Reddit posts and the inside looking and the Papa Rogers. So
a lot of crazy shit, you know.
Yeah.
That's why I never even really went to you know, the Reddit and the 4chan. I mean, there's stuff on there that's interesting, but then some stuff is just like, whoa, that's just crazy. Now, but this is at a period where nobody's being told nothing. And so everybody's on, yeah, Papa Rogers was proven to be somebody else. But this was at a point where everybody, you know, take yourself back then, 2 weeks after the crime, you know, take yourself back to Thanksgiving of 2022, after the crime took place, just a couple weeks after. Put yourself back in that time period and remember, there was nothing out there. You were watching the press conferences. I remember watching them going, you know, the live ones, having different people up on panel, and I'm just like, this is crazy. They ain't saying shit. Everybody, these reporters are asking great questions, and they ain't saying shit. And then you got the local news talking about how the community's frustrated and they're scared because the Ellie's not saying nothing. The local reporters are getting frustrated because Ellie's not saying nothing. They're telling you the same thing, you know, well, we're collectively getting the evidence, you know, and we gotta, keep it close to the investigation for the integrity, the usual shit.
Yeah,
But they
stand.
weren't, they weren't, when you have people in those first couple press conferences and the question that they're asking you is what is leading you to the decision that the community has nothing to worry about. Like, how can you tell us, in the first initial press conferences, how can what can w- how can you tell us that the community is safe? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what is it that you can say the community's safe? Like, what
Right.
about that's information we got to hold to, for the integrity. It's like, what?
I know. If I had a nickel for every time I've heard Ellie say that, oh, we got to keep it close to the vest, and
Just
I understand nobody wants to, you know, mess with the integrity of an investigation, but there are some things, in my opinion, that they should be obligated to tell the community when you have a homicide like this.
right, right. Exactly. I mean, because it's like, how do you don't know where the guy is. You don't know how he left the scene of the crime. You so what leads you to believe, what made you go, okay, because initially the community does have to worry because there's a person that committed this crime on the loose and you don't know where they're at. So whether you want to or not, your community is in danger automatically. So for you to change your mind from what was automatic to what is something that now the community has nothing to worry about, okay, where in your thought process and what was it that made you go, okay, the community has nothing to worry about from what was automatic? And they
Right.
couldn't even answer that question.
Well, CJ, I've seen in other cases where they don't know, at all whether there is any real public threat. But at least in those cases, police are doing the best and they say, I mean, something to the effect of, we're still investigating, but in the meantime, make sure that you're aware of your surroundings, and on college campuses and
Stay
other places,
vigilant.
yeah, they've said travel in groups, don't go just one or two of you out at night or whatever. They've been very good in other cases to do that. And I think, again, this is my opinion, but you should listen to it. Uh, but uh, they should have said, until we have further information, nobody is expecting miracles in 24 hours or even, a week. You don't know. But they should have at least said, you know what, let's all take precautions until, we have more information, rather than, oh yeah, y'all ain't got nothing to worry about. Seriously?
Mhm.
That was a bad call, in my opinion, on law enforcement's part.
Yeah, when you don't even know where the person's at, how do you know that they're not in the house next to you, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
so how can you say that the community's safe
Mm-mm.
when you don't even know where they're at? So how do you know that, I don't know. It was I I not just word salad, it was because it's the university influence. They
Right.
didn't want to upset their students because if the community wasn't safe, they couldn't lift the shelter in place.
Right. And that's what, hindsight, now that we know everything that we know now and we see all of the protocol and the things that we didn't know then, I mean, it all makes sense. Yeah, they weren't trying to protect the public, they were protecting the university.
Hmm.
And so, now it's horrifying. But, and it's still horrifying to me that they would put that up against public safety and the safety of their students. I mean,
They
reprehensible.
well, I mean, I don't. Uh, shit, even with them, being in the shelter in place for a couple hours until MPD came out and said that the community didn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
That was a couple hours right there, and that alone, right there, they interviewed a student when they came back from the break for the next semester, and they interviewed a student and they asked him like how many students are back for the next semester, and he was like, not even half.
Yeah.
So if they wouldn't have, because when like up to the arrest, up to the arrest, and that was December 30th of 22, the community, they would have been under a shelter in place, for freaking a month and a half, because
Yeah.
they had no idea that whole time. So
Right. And they had to get somebody by then, because you know how colleges are, CJ. They'll have you have early registration, which probably for them was in December, and they could probably tell, our attendance so far, our registration is way down. And then, you usually start classes, at least the first week or just past the first week of January. So you have people doing their late registration. So they had to, in order to keep that college viable and uh, stuff, they had to arrest somebody.
oh yeah, they had to. I mean, it already took a hit. It's the whole, because it's like an avalanche. Like something happened, you know, the earth shook. You didn't make but something huge happened, and all of a sudden, a bunch of it's unsettled,
Mm-hmm.
and what the community is safe. There's nothing to worry about. Just stay vigilant and aware, and have a buddy system. What the fuck does what? That was just, we need, just like when, I mean, Silky, think about it. When this crime took place, they don't even know how many students were outside when they showed up. They didn't know. When they were asked that from the reporter, he couldn't answer the question because he said he honestly didn't know. I mean,
Yeah.
straight up said, I honestly don't know. And then the day the crime took place, the next day, and the
Mm-hmm.
next day, you're telling students just go home, go spend time with your families. You're
Yeah.
telling a potential suspect just go home. Like, they were trying to make sure that their enrollment was as intact as much as possible. That I almost feel like they were, in a way, manipulating the investigation, because who in the hell, this was on the 13th, this wasn't on Thanksgiving, this was on the 13th. There was time
Mm-hmm.
to interview everybody before
Yes.
you're telling everybody go ahead and go home, go be with your families.
Yeah.
Because who says that person that may, because I'm not BK, guilty, innocent, I don't know for sure. So if there is somebody else out there that committed this crime, what's suspicious about them going home when they told everybody to go home, and what's suspicious about them never coming back? Because I guarantee there was a lot of students that just did the online shit from home, and then the next year was like, I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's traumatic and it's scary. I mean, I think I would have done the same thing if I was a student. I don't think I would have returned to campus. I mean, yeah. And you're right. All these potential, if there is another perpetrator out there, yeah, you just let them go. You should have kept everybody close and really, really, grilled as many people as, you could place either at Sigma Chi or,
Mm-hmm.
even the Grub Truck or any place, the Mad Greek, anywhere that these girls were, and or this whole,
There's
all
a
of
lot of social
it.
media. You know what I mean? There's a lot of social media, a lot of talking. Even if you brought somebody in and they had a weird story, but it gave, because every story has little pieces and nuggets in it
Mhm.
that you can take away from it. And who's to say 1/10 of this person's story had some kind of truth in it, which then you took that and you applied it to this person's account and that person's account, and then you can really start to see where the numbers start to show exactly what the truth is, percentage wise, this chunk to
Mhm.
this, to this, to this, to this, and then you can really just piece the truth together after that from all those witness statements. Even if it is somebody that's having telephone and hearing hearsay, or even the person that called up and said, hey, so and so went in there and did this and did that. It may all be BS, but there's little bits there. And with all them people that were out there that day when you showed up, you can't tell me there was a lot of talk. It wasn't a lot of talk going on, all through the social media. But I don't think they pushed very hard. I mean, shit, it was like a couple weeks after the crime that they finally took the vehicles to see if they could get any kind of evidentiary value out of them. And they just parked it at a lot outside, and you had a snow, weather elements. What are you going to get from that? I didn't see anybody outside taking prints on any vehicles or dust in any vehicles or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot, I think. And like you were saying, even if people's stories don't 100% line up, you take those little bits of information, eventually you're going to see a pattern. You know,
Mhm.
you're going to see a pattern emerge of little bits of truth. So, yeah, it was, you know, I guess in their defense, they probably hadn't dealt with anything of this magnitude before, and especially you have the whole nation, watching your little town, and that's got to put a lot of stress on law enforcement. But
Oh, there's a lot of people talking shit about him back then, how Fry was incompetent, and they were getting hit by the media back then.
well, for me, and this is like typical of small towns, and limited police departments. When they have a huge case break, they always want to be the heroes and do it on their own. But if you're really smart and you really want to solve a crime, the first thing that you're going to do is call in the FBI, or in their case,
They did.
SP. Yeah, but I mean, like, let's keep them in here. Let's not, let's work all together because they have the resources that you don't. So it's like, why don't you let the big boys handle it, because that's what they do. It doesn't mean that you're incompetent and less than. It's like, you don't deal with this. If I don't deal with a certain set of problems in my line of work, guess what? I call somebody who does.
Well, I think the big problem is before they realized that they needed to call the big boys, I think shit already got fucked up. Because I think when they walked in, you got people that are outside. Obviously some came inside. Uh, and then you're going in there, you got 911 showing up first, MPD showing up after that, and none of them are knowing what they're walking. It's all just reports of unconscious, so they're not even expecting to be walking in there to that kind of crime, and so they're already not prepared, you
Right.
know. And then they go in there, and it's an area where you're busting a lot of people for underage drinking, and it's an operation that is completely effective, because think about it, damn near 2/3 of your students aren't even of age to drink yet. So
Sure.
you're already in a win-win position because 2 out of 3 people you bust are gonna be underage, so you don't lose. And that's what they're used to. They're used to the success of this underage alcohol because all they have to do is go, "Hey, come here. How old are you?" Boom.
Yeah.
You 2 out of 3. And that's what they're used to. They're not or noise complaints, threatening people, "Hey, I'd rather see you spend it on beer than tickets, all right?" Uh, like, and that's it. And so they weren't even prepared as they walked in. And but there's just I don't know, it was weird. Like there's so much going on, even at 2 or 3 in the morning. There really is like it is different. Andrew D. Myers, shout out, thank you for the spot, Andrew. Um, he had asked me a question. He was like, I had somebody contact me and say that the University of Idaho in Moscow downtown college life is completely different than Washington State Pullman. He's like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like in Washington and Pullman, you got a little strip, and I showed it on my footage. You got a little strip that's a few block area and it's lit up and it's got your establishments and stuff. And then outside of that, when it starts to get dark, I'm not saying nobody's out there, but it's not that active. Most people are just laid back and chill. There's that couple block area, but other than that, you don't really see too many people out walking or driving that much. But in Moscow, shit, even if it's 1 or 2 in the morning, I mean, there's even before the sun goes down, there's people walking everywhere, like everywhere, and that's what people must do is just walk everywhere. That's why you see everybody walking everywhere on the body cams. Uh, Even at night, there's just so much activity. It's completely different. Do you think being there was so many cam recordings videos that they changed their timeline to 4? I think they changed the timeline to 4 based off of I believe they said they changed it, and I believe this is why they changed it based off of the conversations that were taking place on the phone. Based off of conversations or
It makes
what
you wonder,
text
though.
or calls or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there were some actual calls to
Yeah.
Jack, I believe, but
Yeah.
after that, as far as Xana being on, wasn't it on TikTok and something like that?
Her phone
Hypothetically,
was active. Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily mean it was her on that phone.
No.
I mean, it could, but it might not
Just
be.
had her. Yeah. It just said her phone was active.
Yeah,
And just like Kaylee and Maddie's phone. I mean, you got the message where she's like, "Come on, we share a dog" or whatever. But most of it, according to them, was just multiple calls. Fry is nobody. Yeah, Fry is not FBI. No, he did. He did get some. He was in the academy, that some kind of the same thing that Dollinger just got congratulated for. Is an academy thing. Fry got 17 and Dollinger got 18 achievements. So that's why you saw Chief Fry kind of. You guys got to watch the episode that we did where we watched the city council meeting where Fry congratulated Dollinger, because it was pretty it was pretty funny. Like, you could tell I don't know, I think he knows that that's going to be the new chief soon. I think he has a feeling he knows he's going to be taken over. Because I don't know, I feel like, Silky, I feel like the university, with the influence, when it comes to, even all the influence, like with these deals that they're doing, I feel like the university, with all the influence that they have, and when you got influence with people in high positions like a chief of police or like a prosecution team, things like that. You're all connected, especially when you're in high money and big business, and that's what University of Idaho is. Uh, so with that comes a lot of influence, and with this kind of influence, when it comes to the community not having to worry and uh, just all of this, the shit that's taken place, how they never came out and said nothing, just the shadiness and how it appears to everybody. It almost feels like, with how they got rid of the house and the demo, it's gone. Like it's gone forever. Before, like Steve said, even before a trial date is set. Um, they want that thing gone, and I think that their Fry is next, and I think Fry is going to end up going into some kind of retirement, and they're going to promote another, like Dollinger to chief, because hey, when it, like, even the prosecution, I bet the prosecution after the trial is done, they all just split Moscow or Idaho, period, or just are done. And so it's when when you have all this influence, and then the influence is so sketchy the way it is, and has everybody questioning things, then that means that the more that they're around is the more opportunity that something will eventually come out, and then pieces will start to get put together. And so I don't know, it just seems like the demo of the house was first, the chief is next, and the prosecution after that. Because how in the hell how is the university, when you have parents, like writing letters to the prosecution stating that they don't want this house down, there's no trial date set, but what if one jury member, it's important to them in this case that to determine guilt or innocence, and the prosecution is, like, they agreed with it. Of course the defense wants to agree with it. The prosecution, even everybody on national TV, the people that are spinning shit about how guilty BK is, are also the same ones saying, yo, this is not good for the prosecution, da 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 da. So right there, they have to have influence. How can you let the university have that much influence over the demo of the house when you have all these fucking people on national media saying, even Garagos was like, this is a huge mistake. Everybody. For them not to come, to where they could say, hey, guess what, university? We know you want it torn down. It's not even on campus. We know you want it torn down. We need to wait. We have to do the right thing for these victims, not for you, but for the victims. And if one of the families doesn't want it torn down, guess what? The other families will get their wish when the trial's done. It will get torn down. But right now, we need to make sure these families get taken care of too. So, university, can you wait? That's where I never understood that.
Because what was it hurting? Yes, I know people remember they passed by there. I've heard all these people say, every time I pass there, such sadness and all that kind of stuff. And, they didn't want the memory, of those adjoining buildings and streets, whatever, to, remember, oh gosh, there was a horrible thing that happened here. And I get all that. Okay. But if you want justice, I don't know, like, you just don't tear down crime scenes. Like, that is so bizarre to me.
Yeah, even if half of it's gone, the walls and the floors, you listen, you just throw some plywood up there. It ain't gonna be exactly, but you'll still, when you hear the acoustics from the inside the property from these TikTok videos, it's not a shitty microphone, people. Our phones these days, even a phone from damn Walmart, has a good camera and a good microphone on it.
Yes.
It's not a horrible microphone. It's how much the sound reverberated in this property. And when it comes to, like, what if, like Steve G says, what if there is a jury member that says, I want to know how loud a dog bark would sound from that room up there with with DM's door shut.
Exactly.
I want to know what it sounds like, because you're recreating things, not that you're
Yes.
creating the event, but you're going to recreate a struggle or something to then give a jury member, well, this is what it would sound like if somebody was in the midst of whatever, and the acoustics, or
Yeah.
if they could hear the door shut or open from with DM's door being shut. All of these different acoustic things that make a huge difference that you can't get in a 3D scan.
Right.
And so damn
Yeah.
straight.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I feel like these witnesses they're obviously going to be questioned, on the stand. So if you want to make sure that a witness statement seems correct, I would definitely see why a jury member would want to go to a house, and you could throw plywood on it, and then when you're done, you could remove it and donate it to Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah. I mean, even if you want to bury it in the ground later, whatever. But yeah, the jury, I know if I were on the
The
jury, I would
acoustic.
have 1,000 questions like that. I want to see it. I want to hear it. I want to feel it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. No, and they wouldn't if you're talking hazardous. Yeah, a hazardous cleaning company went in there, but so did the FBI, so did the prosecution, so did the defense. And if it's okay for the FBI, especially the FBI, because I would imagine they wouldn't be sending in their own agents, number one, if it was that dangerous to walk in. That's why there's restoration companies for that kind of stuff. You just have to be certified. It's like I talked about the chemicals last night. You have to be certified to even clean anything.
Right.
Period. So you can go in there and you can restoration wise have that completed where it's cleaned out, and that's why a lot of the stuff was removed from the property when it came to walls or floors or different things like that. But when it comes to what do you get out of it when you walk in, it's exactly what we're talking about: the acoustics. The
Mm-hmm.
acoustics of the witness statement, the acoustics of how could you hear a dog how could you hear somebody playing with a dog, and you could hear things like I think somebody's here, but you didn't know what the hell was happening?
Yeah. Yeah. And how
The
hard,
sounds.
basically, hard does somebody have to hit the floor? Can you to hear a thud? How could you hear footsteps? Like, could you really hear footsteps?
How did you not hear Zaina,
Yeah.
Like, that's right. That's not even upstairs, downstairs. That's right across your freaking door.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like, that's right across your damn door. And when you hear the girls talking in that second floor living room, yo, how could you
Mhm.
not? Like, even if a pen dropped on the freaking floor like this, you would hear it.
Think.
And how did you not? Yeah, they had to have heard
So,
everything.
I mean, I guess that's the thing, though, CJ. You don't have the actual crime scene that they can go and test all these things. You are solely relying on witness testimony. And what if they're not telling the truth? Or what
Hmm.
if it's not that they don't mean to tell the truth, but what if it's just, because they were intoxicated or whatever? The memory is not, because of the trauma, it's not what it should be. So you have to be able to go and hear and test these things for yourself, in my opinion, because otherwise you just have to go on testimony alone and say, okay,
Yeah.
well, I guess this is the truth.
Especially when it comes to the statements, you have somebody stating that they saw somebody that's on the second floor. That's on the same floor and the floor under. And it just, How do you not? You got right up the bedroom right up above you. You know,
I want to
the
know.
bedroom right up above you and the bedroom right across from you. How do you not?
I want to know what it's like to walk down a hallway where with that door crack to see how much is it positioned in a way that if you're in a hurry, you're not really noticing that the door is cracked, like those kind of things. Is it, uh, these are things that you can't see on a recreation. Not really, not the same as being in there.
Yeah, I mean, because some of their scans was like is pretty ridiculous. The quality and how much it it was a leather freaking couch and it looked like corduroy after that. It was pretty ridiculous. The company that went in there, I'm going to share this real quick. The company that went in there specializes AG. Let me see here, non-California. The company that went in there specializes in this product. Okay. Let me see here. And I know we covered this on a previous show as well. It's an air scrubber. And so when the HVAC, and here's the link to this if you want to see what the air scrubber is that they promote it on their website. Here's the link for this. It's an air scrubber. And what it does is it's meant to get a lot of those airborne particles out of the air, a filtration system. And so I believe when they first went in there, this is what they were putting in. And then after a period of time of the air scrubber, then I think that's when other things were done to get rid of basically get it cleaned up. Because you can't, you're not going to have hazardous chemicals. Think about it. Just because the house is shut, the doors are shut, the windows are shut, it doesn't mean the chemicals can't go airborne because air escapes through the roof. So the chemicals, they're not going to allow those chemicals to get airborne and then through the neighborhood. So when it came to it, I'm sure there was a process, just like a restoration company. It's not the first time a crime took place, and it's not the first time that they've had to clean up a property from a crime. And the other properties that have been cleaned up from brutal crimes are on the market still to this day. So it's not like they have to tear it down, or you can't get rid of the chemicals. They have those companies specifically for that. But this is the product that company heavily promotes for the air scrubber. I want to say thank you to Caddy for sending the link for that. And let me see. I think I got one for that company too. I'll give you the website for that. Let me see. And then we'll get into this. I have to dig through these.
Yeah, it takes a lot. You have to have certifications, and it's
Yeah.
cleaning a crime scene is. I mean, it's very expensive. Like these people charge a lot because they have so many regulations and ways they have to do something. And like you said, chemicals and things that they have to use. Like you can't just hire, Janet's home cleaning service. It has to be done a certain way.
Yeah. And it can happen. I mean, hell, I'm sure there's some of these cases that you talk about, like the ghost stuff and things like that. I mean, you're talking about houses that had really brutal crimes taking place in them. They're still on the market. People are still buying and selling. That's what they specialize in. So you just have to be certified, and there's a certain way that you have to do it.
Yeah.
Just like people coming in to do the restoration from the fire next door and the smoke damage and stuff. There's just a process for it. So let me see here. So we'll get back to this. And this is the report from the Moscow PD. And we're going to be going through this. This is a report at 2109 Moose Lodge. And when it comes to the Moose Lodge, and this is where I'm coming from on this, the reason I feel like it was called at the Moose Lodge is because when you look at, so here's the Moose Lodge right here, this brick building here, okay? Corner Club is right next door. So the reason I feel like it was called into the Moose Lodge, which is right next door, is because look at the parking lot for Corner Club. Now, when you're talking, you're a young girl or guy, you're having some drinks at the establishment here at the Corner Club, you're having fun, you go outside, you get into an altercation, the last thing that you're going to do, because you want to continue to go to that establishment to have drinks and to have fun, the last thing you're going to do is you're going to call the cops to the Corner Club. You're going to call the cops and give them the Moose Lodge address, so that way the Corner Club doesn't get tied to it at all, and then you don't have the chance of them getting upset with you because you just brought the cops to their establishment. And when you're talking about establishment that serves alcoholic drinks, the more that they have reports and cops showing up, it's bad for business. And especially your liquor license, right?
Oh yeah.
So you're gonna call it into Moose Lodge because you don't want to get the owners of the Corner Club in trouble, and you don't want people to be upset with you because you just had the cops called and now they're coming in and they got to talk to the owner and this or whoever's working, for witness this and that. So that's where I'm coming from when I refer it to the Corner Club, is because I feel like it's from the Corner Club. It was just called at the Moose Lodge because Moose Lodge wasn't even open at that time. It wasn't even open at that time. So it's easy to call it in on the Moose Lodge when it happens in the parking lot of Corner Club.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a whole lot more sense.
So this is where we bring up that report. And this is all, like I said, this is and definitely sub to Silky if you're not sub. If you can drop the link, mods. If not, let me drop it real quick. And here we go. I'll go ahead and do it. And this is a conversation that we had on 11/29/2022. This is only a couple weeks after the case came out. Nobody was saying nothing. Ellie wasn't saying nothing. The press conferences were a joke. They weren't answering any questions except just telling the community they didn't have nothing to worry about but to stay vigilant, buddy system, and stay aware. So this is kind of everybody at this point. Now, I was just kind of talking about everything at this point in the show, 2 weeks old. But there was a lot of other people that were just like, just going everywhere trying to find whatever they could find. So some stuff is like, whoa. Like I said, this is 2 weeks after it all took place. No information out there. Everybody's talking.
Sin befriended. Not that one, but yeah, that one. Read what this says.
One right here. See, time reported.
Yes.
8:02.
No.
Oh, which one?
No, CJ.
The
Go
5:30
to the one
p.m.
that says about the drunk person. Intoxicated person that says 9887. It says Moscow. It has the report 22-MO9887. Intoxicated person.
What's that?
Go, that page.
So let's see.
Go
time
to where
reported,
it says
8:02.
Right.
Complaint of theft of backpack.
No, 2109.
Right here. Let's see. Oh, okay. 909.
The one that says 2109.
RP. Yeah, you're probably on a delay. RP said her boyfriend told her an intoxicated person, possibly male, is causing issues there. No further details. Said her boyfriend is causing issues.
And as you see, this is on North Main Street. And when I went to Moose Lounge, Google Moose Lounge, that's a frat house in Moscow that's 6 minutes away from the other frat house and the student's house. And this was at 9:09. Remember, they said they left the party at 9 o'clock?
Good morning, Jen.
Yeah.
The other frat party, which is 6 minutes away from there. So they can make it there in 9 minutes.
Let's see, Moose Lodge.
I don't know. This just seems weird to me. And then I found a report about the dog that they said it was a suspicious person, which was 7 minutes away from the house, that the person was looking for a dog, and then they found out the dog was at the shelter. I have that one too. You want to see that?
Yeah. Let me see here.
I can give you the website. This is just police report. It's just everything that's police report at the police report out there. It's public information. Let me send you the link so you can look at it.
Wow. Yeah. And I'm going to pull up the map.
That one caught my eye. That one really. Yes. Yeah, that one really caught my eye.
Let's see. Moose Lodge. Maps.
Map it from the King Street address.
Let's see. Zoom out a little. King Road.
It's 1122 King Road, Moscow. And I'm about to see the link so you can for the police activity.
8 minutes by bike, 6 minutes by car. Yeah, Half Pipe brings up a good point. What kind of argument causes you to take out 4 people? That's a very good question, Half Pipe. And it makes sense why the FBI is a couple days ago focused it on the Sigma Chi house and downtown. Is this considered downtown?
I sent you.
They have villainous cupcakes.
I sent you the link also to the daily activity report for the police department. And I seen the report about remember how we heard about there was a suspicious guy that was looking for the dog?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's that about? You said they've scrubbed those records.
Yeah, there's some stuff you don't even, like, some of the stuff doesn't even exist. The King Road homicide page on the Moscow PD website doesn't exist anymore. Like,
wow.
Yeah, like before, because they first, here it is right here. First the tip line went away. And then after the tip line went away, that was the only thing that went away. Then after that, then all the press releases went away. Now the whole King Road homicide is just gone. Now, and there's other like logs and stuff you can't even see anymore. Yeah, because they have a whole list where you can go to like the logs and everything, and there's shit that's gone.
I think that's one of the ingredients for a sus cake, don't you think? That's definitely sus to me. What are you taking it down for?
As long as it's not butterscotch, I'm good. Then I'll just spit it out. Yeah, like, I mean, the crazy part is like, why was the tip line up still? Like damn near a year after you arrested the individual, and you've already had how many court hearings?
Oh,
And
well, look,
you still have
Delphi's,
the tip line. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
they still have a tip line out there.
I don't know. It's crazy. Speaking of that, hearings today, isn't it, for RA?
No, that's on the 18th. I'm going to be
Oh,
live
is it?
streaming.
Oh,
Yeah,
the 18th. Yeah, that'll be interesting. That one as
I know
well,
it.
right?
I'm
But,
nervous.
but yeah, it's gone. No more King
Wow.
Road homicide. Right? Yeah. So a lot of stuff's gone. But
Yeah.
that's what we got recordings for. We can go back in time and
Yeah. I
scrap all
wish
that up.
I had done stuff like this, which, I mean, when talking about Delphi, I'm sure people wish they had done it 6 years ago because so much stuff strange. In both cases, how things have just disappeared, went poof. Uh, yeah, because to me, if you're going to be transparent and you're going to be honest, even if you look at it and Ellie comes out and says, "Yeah, there was a page like that," and or we still have a page like that. It's not accurate. There's a lot of stuff we didn't know. Whatever. But don't take it down because all you're going to do is look very sus anytime you're
Yeah.
messing with stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Hmm.
All right.
Interesting.
Let me go ahead and let's see what she said. Now this is us getting right into this report in the beginning. So it's we're kind of, like I said, 2 weeks old, kind of getting into it. Just check it out. We'll listen to a little bit more and then we'll pause it here.
And then they found out the dog was at the shelter. I found
Yeah.
a police report about that also. That on November 19th, it was at 5:30 when they did the report about the guy looking for the dog. I believe that was her dog.
Wow. Daily activity log.
And you just go to the
Wow.
date that you want to find, and you just keep going down through the times. Yeah. I really believe that police report about the girl that's calling about the argument with her boyfriend. I really think that was Zaina. This is all allegedly. I really think it was her.
Right, of course. It just makes too much sense. It really does. And then, with him being the target, it's because they're gonna, I don't know. It's kind of like them, you're not gonna wait until the last person for your target. You're gonna go for them first because if something goes crazy or something doesn't go the way you want it to, well, then at least you got your target.
And now that makes sense why the girls kept calling Jack, because they heard somebody downstairs. So my theory is they went and got Zaina and Ethan first, and the girls heard and they were calling Jack, and then they went upstairs and got the girls. That's my theory.
So start your theory from the beginning.
I believe those girls were not asleep. Okay,
so
my theory
is start from when they show up to do the crime and then what takes place. What do you think?
Okay, my theory is that, let's start back from the party. My theory is that Ethan and Zaina had a dispute with one of the frat people from one of these frats. I don't know which one, but it was a dispute that happened out there. I believe that two guys came in that house. I don't know what time. I believe they came in that house. Two guys. I believe they went in there and they went for Ethan. They went in there for Ethan, and that's when Zaina and Ethan first got approached, and what happened. And then I believe that they probably heard those girls moving around upstairs as they were calling Jack, because I believe those girls upstairs heard those guys down there. I believe they heard that altercation, and you can hear people walking around upstairs. You can. I believe they went up there because they knew those girls wasn't asleep, and they had to take those girls out. I don't think that they wanted to take them out, but because of the situation, I think that's why those other girls, Maddie and the other girl, got taken out.
And Kaylee, so you think it wasn't somebody that necessarily snuck in?
I'm just telling you. That's just
you're thinking that they came there and had a confrontation, and then it escalated into the crime that was committed.
Because
That's an
they got
interesting
into
theory.
a fight, and then from the fight, I believe that's when the knife and the tussle. I don't believe they went in the intent to kill them. I think they went in the intent of, hey, what was going on? What were you talking about at the party? You know how if you know a guy and you know the police is called and you get into at the party, you know you can go to their house and be like, what's up? You know, crazy college people do stuff like this, you know? So I believe they went to go confront him about what happened at the party, and it probably just got out of hand. I really believe that. I don't think they went with the intent. I really believe this.
That's interesting. Wow, that's it. No, and that's a great theory as well. Wow. And you think it was two, not just
I really
one.
believe it, though.
And then Melmac is asking a good question.
I believe it was two.
Why do you think the girls downstairs didn't get harmed?
Because they knew that those girls did not know they were there. Because as the girls were saying, they were calling
Again, everybody, that's why I have originally aired on November 29th, 2022. That's why I'm saying this is 2 weeks after the crime. That's why I'm saying there's very little information. This is a conversation that took place on November 29th, 2022. So, of course, things are going to be different than they are today. That's why I have this up there. It's a conversation that took place November 29th, 2022.
Jack. There was calls to Jack. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I believe the people down on the second floor heard the girls on the third floor moving around and calling Jack, because this report says 2:15 is when this happened. 2:15. That means that the girls had only been home probably for 30 minutes. No way they were asleep.
Right.
I'm just saying.
That's
I don't know.
interesting.
My brain. I don't know. My brain.
That's
is weird.
interesting. No,
My
I
brain
mean,
is weird,
no,
you
seriously.
guys.
Like, no, it's not weird. Like that, it totally is a really good theory. Seriously. Like, this is the first time I've even entertained more than one person doing it. And then with your theory, I'm just like, wow. It starts to make me question if I, you know what I mean? Like, no, it's a totally good theory.
Because let me tell you another reason why I'm thinking that, like, the people were saying they just came, those two guys or that one guy, those two guys just came in their house. They didn't let them in there. As you know, they say their friends and different people they hang out has the code to that patio sliding door where you can put in the code to get in. Remember, their friends and everybody has the code. There you go. Those two people must have had been friends with them, and then they got into it. They left themselves in that place. They didn't break in because they had the code. And when the report said when they left, they just left the sliding door open. They just left out. There was no signs of breaking in. Those people had the code.
So you tell, man, can you, man, that's messed
they
up.
Had the freaking
like,
code.
That's messed up where your own fucking enemy can have the code to your door, you know? Like, that's messed up if
they didn't break in, they had the code. They had the code.
So you don't think the door was left unlocked then? Huh.
Nah. No, they
and
had
you
the
think
code.
that they
left it open to make it look like that somebody had broken in. Exactly.
So
but they left it open to make it look like somebody had broken in. But no, they went in there because they had the code. They left it open So that's what made the police think it was a break-in, and no, it wasn't. They just left the door open and left. I promise you. But you guys remember everything that I said. So when the report comes out, okay, I don't know. This is
Hey,
just
I don't
like
get rid of my shows.
I promise
I don't
you.
get rid of
Black
my
lady
shows.
didn't say anything.
So it's one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to go back to this video today, was to kind of just explore this conversation that took place back then before shit was out, re-explore the conversation today after everything that we do know, and kind of just re-listen to it again. Because when it comes to this incident report, there's still questions about it. Yeah, I already put that up there, Bama. Code in the front door, no code on slider. Again, this was originally aired November 29th, 2022. Nobody was being told nothing. Of course, it's a year, more than a year and a month or two after this conversation took place. Of course, there's going to be so much more that's been out since then. So that's why I keep reminding people this is a conversation that took place November 29th, 2022. All right.
You know what's scary, CJ, is that,
Right.
I mean, if people had the code to the slider and stuff, I mean, I know the girls were trusting, as you would be. I mean, normally you don't have that much crime, serious crime in a college town like that. But, if the people that had the code, I mean, every one of them is a suspect now. So why didn't they really hunt that down instead of 20 skin cells,
Well, when you look, it's a good point, because when you look at all the body cams, a lot of the body cams, the people that live at the property aren't even there. So, in a way, when it comes to people knowing a code or not, it doesn't matter, because the fact that multiple times you have a body camera and it's showing people, telling you that the people that live there, because the officers always ask, who lives here, let's talk to them. And how many times they're they're not here. There was even a couple body cams where somebody from a party at the house called one of the victims and said, hey, they're trying to da 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 da. A couple times they had to call the people that live there to then
Right.
talk to the, so it's
And I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, nobody would be in my house having a party without me there. I'd be like, yeah. But that's just me. But yeah, I've seen those body cams, and it was always crazy to me how just people come and go. But I guess, I guess it was just the culture. You don't do that as an adult. I don't know who's somebody. There are gonna be people in and out. Doesn't happen.
Yeah. No, and shout out Caddy, thank you. This is a picture of the keypad that now she's confused because, like I said, back then, this is November 29th, 2022. LE's already had a few press conferences. They ain't answering shit. Nobody's answering anything. And this whole case is already taking the nation and the world by storm because of the weirdness of it all, and how just why isn't anybody saying anything? Why aren't you answering the question if you've come to the conclusion that the community has nothing to worry about? What is it that told you that to say that to the community? And just no questions being answered. Everybody's trying to make sense of everything. Of course, it could be as easy. This is 2 weeks after it took place. This could be as easy as somebody thinking a keypad was on the sliding glass door.
Sure.
This isn't a year and a couple months after the crime, when we've even had multiple court hearings. This is something that just took place. Okay, there we go. Yeah, sometime in December. So December 4th is when Steve G said that he didn't have to go upstairs. They didn't have to go upstairs. This was on the 29th. Yeah, we were left. Exactly right, Villainous Cupcake. We were left to speculate, and we still don't really know anything. and that's the way it was back then. But there was nothing out there at this time. Just, everybody digging through reports and digging through this and digging through that, trying to find answers because there was no answers being told. So, all right, give me 1 second. So this is us kind of discussing from 1112 to the area up there. And then we start exploring different parts here. But I've always felt, ever since we had this conversation, and then as the conversation goes on, that's where I'm starting to really like, okay, the person's back in the bushes. Like, this is where all this stuff started formulating. And this is when this conversation is pretty kind of like when we really started getting into this case here. Just because everything seems so odd.
CJ, I remember when this first, before they arrested Koberger, I mean, that was my first thought, and I have nothing, I got nothing to offer except a gut feeling. But from the very beginning, I thought this perpetrator stood out here in the woods and watched this house. I'm not saying every day, I'm just saying prior to the unalivings, I'm like, yeah, just a gut feeling. He was sitting there watching.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just with the setup and the layout and how dark it is back there. Anybody could have. I mean, shit. I was back there parked for 7 days. A strange vehicle that nobody ever seen before. A strange person nobody ever seen before, and nobody made me feel like I was a suspicious person out there. So really, if I can be there for a week and I'm not going into anybody's apartment, I'm in my vehicle, I'm getting out, I'm taking video, I'm taking photos, and I'm there for a week, that could easily be suspicious to somebody. And nobody at one time made me feel like I was being, had the idea to anybody that I was a suspicious person. So anybody literally could have sat back there and blended in, because if I can blend in, then anybody can blend in,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely one of those spots that it would be a perfect opportunity. And that's why I feel like they said the house was a target, was because of how the property was laid out and how you could see every activity that was going on around the property just from that vantage point before you would even go do anything. So it's I don't know, it was definitely a layout that gave somebody a very interesting opportunity to do whatever sick twisted thing they wanted to do. All right, so we're going to get back into this conversation here, and this is us discussing the Moose Lodge incident report stuff.
Oh, I ain't laughing. I told you already. Like, that's a really good theory. It even has me questioning whether there's one or two now. And I've always thought it was just one. Like, it's a totally good theory. I'm intrigued. I'm fascinated.
I really believe it was. I really believe it was two. I had said it was two to some other people like a week ago. I think when I was on the other show, when I was talking to them, and I was like, I just have a feeling it's two. But after this report, reading this girl and just reading up on things like that, there's no way one person is gonna go to a house of 6 people knowing that some.
And her mic keeps cutting out.
Somebody might wake up. And the people is a man. The report to me sounds right. 2 people. That sounds right to me.
And they
like
have
one guy went there that he got into it with, and his friend went with him as moral support. As you take your friend, like, hey, I'm about to go over here and find out what was going on with the party, and his friend, hey, I'm gonna go with you. I really feel like that's how it was.
Well, and Melmac and Half Point, they did bring up good points. The code is only on the door that has the parking lot, but from what I've heard, they left that sliding door unlocked a lot, is what's being reported. Now the code is for the very bottom floor, because that door does have a code. The sliding glass, does that have a code? I know they've said before. I know they said before that they usually left it open. What do you think the fight was over at the party?
Are you still? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me? Hello?
CJ?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm so great.
I don't know what the party could be over. Don't know that, but I just feel like there was an argument. Now, what the argument's about, I could not even tell you. You know,
Do you have any
that would be
thoughts
hard for
on?
someone to pinpoint an argument with me with someone, huh?
Well, no,
Huh?
just an idea, just a theory of what maybe you thought the argument might have been about.
Oh.
Do you have a theory of what was taking place between 9 p.m. and 1:45 a.m. when they were reported being back? Do you have a theory about that?
When they got into it with the people and then the police were called and all that stuff, and then the other people left and there was no report taken or whatever.
Yeah.
I would say let's take that to about 10 o'clock with all the ruckus. Like, okay, so from 10 to maybe, didn't they get home at 12 o'clock?
Now I don't know if there's been
Zayna and Ethan
updated
get home at
reports
12?
today, but they're reporting them being back at 1:45, and then the Kaylee and Madison being back at 1:56. So you got 1:45 and 1:56.
Right.
I don't know about any updates
Right.
today because I haven't been in the news today. I'm just kind of learning with everybody.
There's no updates today, but you know, all I can say is when they, after all of that stuff and leaving the party, I heard they walked home from there and possibly maybe they stopped somewhere nearby. You know, you never know. I feel like they just maybe they went somewhere after and then they went home. You know, maybe they went to go walk to a food place or something. I don't know. I have no idea.
See, right over here, it's kind of interesting because on Google Maps, if you drop the little guy at the corner, right? And I got the Google Maps up right now. So right here is that Sigma Chi house. Okay, right? I want to show you something real quick.
Yeah, show me.
All right, I'm gonna go up this street.
Google Maps.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And thank you so much for hopping in here and being respectful tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay, so
I would never do that. I would never do that.
I appreciate it. So here's the house, okay? I want to show you something. This is going to be crazy. All right. So here's the house. All right. So I'm going to go to the end of the street. So I'm looking. There's the house right there. I'm going to go right to...
I'm just showing her how close the house is. This is like the very beginning. This must be when Google Guy was born, because I don't... Because I'm just starting to get into to use it. Like I said, I'm green as shit right here, but it was shocking to me when I was first coming across this case, when it comes to how close the Sigma Chi house was to the property. What's up, Riddler? It just amazed me back then. I was like, dang, this is how close that Sigma Chi house was to the property? Like, this shit's crazy.
They said that they left the party at 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
We're at that party right there at that house. Now, can you Google us from that frat house to that Moose Lounge? If they left there at 9 o'clock, how would they get down there at 9:09? Like, which way would they go?
At
I'm literally trying to
9:09?
see if it's even close enough. Yeah, they got there at 9:09. Well, the report was at 9:09. I don't know what time they got there. The report was at
Well,
9:09, but I'm just trying to see, can you literally walk from that frat house to the other? Is it possible? I'm just trying to see if this even makes sense
well,
that they walk.
let's see. Let me see how long a walk is. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I've already Googled bike rides around this place, and the bike rides are literally like 5 to 10 minutes anywhere in that city. If I could get this to pop up, how do I? Oh yeah, here we go. There's the X. Okay, so let's do. It's basically the same route. Okay, to the because the party house. Here's the location of the crime, and then here's the party house. So you're pretty much starting off right here at Taylor Avenue. Thank you, Jen, for joining. You're pretty much starting here at Taylor Avenue, whether you're at the crime location or the party house. Okay, so it's a 6-minute car ride, and then this is the route that it would take, and then that's that Moose Lodge. So really, from here, a 6-minute car ride, which wouldn't really be that.
If they walk.
Right. If you're walking, let me see here. Let's see how long it takes to walk.
Yeah, because what if they were walking? I'm just trying to.
Half an hour.
So then they didn't walk. Yeah, more than likely, maybe they did not walk. They didn't walk then, right? And CJ, the other thing is, we know for sure that this party was at the Sigma Chi house, correct? We know for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? That's one of the locations the FBI is focused on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I was wondering if possibly if they left there at 9 o'clock, had they got in the car with someone, they could have been down there in what, 6-7 minutes?
Yeah. What happened at the Moose Lodge again?
It said that a girl called and made a report about an intoxicated person getting into it with her boyfriend. A male intoxicated person was getting into it with her boyfriend over there at the frat house, whatever, at the frat house.
But they called. But they called
not
from the
Sigma
Moose Lodge.
Chi frat house.
Really?
Yes, it said yes. They called from the other frat house. That's why I'm like, was it at this frat house for sure? Because I heard somebody else, another reporter, say that the police was called that night to the party. I heard another report, but they never said which party. And that's what made me also look to see, is there a report from the night before, that night of everything? Was there a dispute at a frat party? The only one I found was this one. And it's funny because it was at 9:09 p.m. and they said they left at 9 o'clock.
Right. But it wasn't.
It's weird.
The Sigma Chi?
No, it was the Moose Lounge. It's the other frat house that's 6 minutes away. The other one.
Really?
That one that you Googled right there. Yeah. So that's why I'm like,
that is
Is the police trying to is someone giving us false information? Was this party really? See, look at it. It was on North Main Street, the Moose Lounge. And then I Googled, what's Moose Lounge? I thought it was a hotel, but it was at a frat house. And I was like, what? And then I was like, a girl, read it. It said a girl was saying about her boyfriend, intoxicated person.
Is causing issues.
So she got confused thinking that the Moose Lodge was a frat house, and it's not. She ends up calling the Moose Lodge on the show to ask them questions about who goes where and what and this and that. So just keep that in mind. She's thinking that the Moose Lodge is a fraternity spot where maybe they all hang out and drink, but really it's, even though like if anybody knows like Moose Lodges, they do have like, you have to have a membership, right? It may be different nowadays, but they do serve drinks. You have to
Yeah.
have a membership. It is an establishment, but you do have to be a member. You have to pay a monthly fee or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
I think they're usually older. They're not like
Yeah,
college kids. It's like
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
it's a fraternity, or
Like
it's
what
a
we were saying. For
membership
older
place for
people.
adults. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like you'll even see like your grandpas in there and shit,
Right. Right.
you know.
I had a question though,
Yeah.
CJ. When you had the map up there, and you were talking about how long it would take to walk, but what if, okay, because you've been there,
Yeah.
over when it was coming from the direction it was showing the walking, but yet not turning to go to the house. Is there any businesses? Is there any parking lot over there? Because if, okay, let's just say hypothetically the person was planning this crime, is there somewhere they could park that would not be out of place, like nobody's house, where they're like, hey, who's this guy that just pulled into our driveway? Um, and just walk that shorter distance so that their car would not be on any kind of surveillance or any kind of ring cams, whatever.
Hmm.
And then
I
I wonder
don't.
if
Yeah, I don't
anybody's
know.
considered that somebody could have parked innocently at a place at a public parking lot.
I mean, I don't know. Let's see what we got around here. I mean, you got a library, elementary school,
That would be sus.
a hotel,
No, that's a good one.
uh,
How far is that from?
maybe like a small hotel, not far, just maybe a block or two away. There's your Grop Heating and Air and Electric. That's the company that was out there that day, and that's the one that promotes that air scrubber, Grop Heating and Air.
Because there was snow on the ground. It was cold. I don't see
Mm.
anybody walking that far.
Well, that was the next day. There wasn't any snow on the ground the day and the night that the crime took place. It was the next day. There was a light dusting of snow.
But
I don't know. Who's to say they didn't have a friend that lived over in a neighborhood or something, Yeah,
but you
you
could
definitely
live in a hotel though.
Yeah, I mean, you got a grocery store, pizza place. I mean, there's different businesses. You even have the school, the courthouse, but really there's not a lot of parking like in the city. It's all pretty scrunched and cramped. Here's your axe throwing. I mean, hell, I mean, look at the buildings right here. See how cramped it is? Like, they're just, everything is just so cramped in that area. There's Christ Church.
I was looking at the axe throwing. We had an axe throwing place here, not in a neighboring town to me, and yeah, look. Anytime you sell alcohol and throw axes, like it's not a good idea. So of course there was an incident here, and now it's pool. It's a
Yeah.
pool. So,
Oh boy. Yeah, I can imagine.
who wants drunk people throwing axes? My God, what's wrong
Right.
with y'all?
Or if it slips out of their hand going backwards as they get ready to throw it, I'd hate to be the person behind them.
Oh my God, yeah.
That would hurt for sure.
But no, I just wondered if the police had looked at, like I said, places like a hotel now, schools and stuff like that, or restaurants that are closed, that and a vehicle parked there is more sus. But to a hotel, nobody would even pay attention if we're coming or
Well,
going.
a motel, whatever. I don't know. Like when I'm trying to think. It was shortly around this time period where it might have been before this. It was somewhere around this time period where Moscow PD came out and said that or was it the FBI? It was one of them that came out and said there's two areas that they're focusing now, and that one of them was this area that it was the north part of Moscow that included the corner club and the grub truck, and then obviously the area around there. But there was two other areas of focus, and one of them was here. I can't remember where the other one is, but I remember right around this time they came out with a report. It was either the FBI or MPD, or MPD speaking on behalf of the FBI, that there was two other locations of interest that they were focusing on. Where's that timber place? Let me see. Timber. What is it called? Timber Bar? There is no Timber Bar. It's not coming up anything. What is it called?
Wasn't it just up there?
It was Timber Bar, but I looked up Timber Bar. Let me see. Timber Lane? No, that's a street.
What is this? I love
Yeah. I never did the axe throwing, but I enjoy some cornholio. Yeah, I don't see a timber place, so let me know if you know what it is, because I just typed in timber in Moscow and nothing's coming up. It's just Timber Lane, a street. Timber Club. Timber Club. It's just giving me this timber. Stubblefields Bar. So that's the map. There we go. That's the map. It's a mixed bag. On my flight there, I was talking to somebody that lived in Spokane. So we had like a 3-hour conversation, 3.5-hour conversation about BK. She felt he was, right away felt that he was guilty as shit. It was kind of an interesting conversation because I kind of feel like there's a lot of questions, so I have to question a lot of things. And she felt that he was guilty as all hell. But it was a great conversation. I kind of like laid a lot of the stuff out there. There was a lot of stuff that, it was more of a conversation where there was nothing. She was just kind of basically, she was a lady that was in her early 50s, and she just was kind of going off of what was being reported in the national news. But it was a great conversation. When I got there, it was a mixture. There's people that also feel like he's guilty as hell. There's people that feel like he had something to do with it, and somebody else, more than one. That's why they're still scared. I would hear stories about how they're still scared because they feel like BK had something to do with it, but then they feel like there's more. And then there's the individuals out there that feel like he had nothing to do with it, and they're scared as hell because they feel like the person's still out there walking the streets. If it was a percentage, in my opinion, based off of the people I talked to in Pullman and Moscow, I would say the percentage is a 60-40 split, 65-35 split, that they feel like there's more. something's not, there's something sketch. They're still not being told stuff. They still feel scared. They still feel the need to tell their friends where, the whole buddy system crap. I would say 2/3 of the people, 1/3 believe that he's guilty as shit. 2/3 think that, and I'm grouping them together because they either feel like he did something and there's more, or he didn't do anything and there's somebody out there. They both of those lumped together because they still feel like somebody else is out there that isn't being charged. So I would say 2/3 is from my experience. So I was kind of shocked when I can't remember who it was. I think it was Brian Enton had said that he had talked to the community and they couldn't wait to get that house torn down. When it came to the demo topic, I'm going to tell you right now, and I don't know what the university is talking about, and maybe I wasn't talking to the most popular kids or something, but from what I never really heard that they wanted that house down to get rid of it. I was shocked when, and maybe it was for PR, because there was an interview from one of the local TV stations that interviewed a student that was going there, and she was talking about how she couldn't wait for the house to get torn down because they needed to move on and have closure and all this other stuff. But it was weird because I wasn't hearing that when I was there. I wasn't hearing they need to hurry up. Most people didn't. It wasn't either way. It was like, it is. If it does, it does. If it don't, it don't. I didn't get the impression that that people or community members were like, it needs torn down now, now, now. Never got that impression. So I was kind of shocked to hear some of those things from Brian Nenton when it came to the demo. So I don't know. More PR, I suppose, for the university to say it, it's the community that wants it down, not us. It's the community, when really it's a bunch of bullshit, because that's not what I was hearing. So who are the prime suspects? I mean, they do. They feel like, I'd say 2/3 feel like there's more to it, whether it's the wrong person or part of a group. There's more to it, they feel.
Well, if you're a thinking person, you at least have to consider that. There could be. And if you're a thinking person that thinks that, then you would say, no, the house doesn't need to come down. Not yet.
Just in case.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is wrong? We all know it's gonna be torn down. It would have been torn down no matter, after the trial, for sure. The day the trial was over, I'm sure it would have been torn down. There's no reason not to leave it up, because it's not on the university grounds. It's on the other side of a fucking hill from the university. So if you're in the university grounds and you look over, guess what? You see a big hill before it drops back down, and that's where you see the property. So you can't even see the property from university grounds. So there's to have it be a rush just didn't make sense, because what if one of the jury members questions the witness's statement and wants to hear, very important. Tell your panel guests, roll tide roll.
Hey, roll tide.
Roll tide roll.
Absolutely. No matter what, roll tide.
All right.
I was going to say, AG is asking if there was no BK and Sheath, who are the prime suspects. I mean, you know what? I don't even think we have all the prime suspects because they put BK out there so quickly. But, I mean, you definitely have to consider things like, the frat boys, because we know that there was some kind of dispute. Like CJ and I talked about the other night, the private driver is more than a little sus. Doesn't mean he did it, but I think you'd have a lot of different suspects if you got BK out of the way.
I would like to get together with you again in the future one night where we can have a part 2 of that, where we kind of get into more of that, because I know we didn't. There was more we could have got into, and I'd like to get together again and be able to kind of go more into that topic specifically, and not so much the other stuff, but more of that topic, because I know that there's more that you wanted to talk about, and I know there's more stuff to go through. So anytime you want to do that, let me know, and we can make it a part 2, because there is a lot more stuff to talk about
Yeah.
when it comes to that. Yeah, definitely go sub if you're not subbed already to Silky Southern Tea. Here's the link. I'll drop it, and definitely go show some love on her video, because she's streaming this to her channel as well. So
Thanks.
definitely go hit the like, and a like and a comment is always the free way to help any of us content creators out. So definitely go hit a like and just drop a trophy if you want in the comment section.
Thank you. You know, and for anybody who's visiting my channel, let me just say I have so many videos on the Delphi unalivings. Don't judge me on that. I did. I covered it for a year, and I'm still going to cover, the high points, but I've done a lot of other stuff. I started in Idaho, and I want to get back into that and some, Epstein. Hey, CJ, I would love for you to come to my channel and let's talk Epstein. I know you. And I've got more articles I want to go over, like in the next day or two, before I go back to work for this week. And like, man, you talk about the list. Look, I know the list is going to come out. I'm not even talking about the list. I just read an article, CJ, about the autopsy report, and I was like, the what? Yeah, I was fighting mad, and I do want to do a video with that. Would love to have you to, come on and talk about that.
Yeah, we'll do it for sure. And then maybe I'll do it like stream to my channel, like how you do it. I've never done it before, but I want to. I'll have to do that myself.
Yeah,
I think that'll be kind of neat. Yeah, did that one work? I'm not sure why okay, cool. Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, definitely go check her out. She's got a great mind. And what's your other channel, Silky?
They're saying what page isn't available. I think because right now there's not a 5808 on it. That was before I was monetized. So my link is just Silky Southern Tea.
Oh, that's different. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that was like you used to promote me when we were both tiny. Right. And so,
we're updated.
There we go.
Oh, I was putting out the wrong link the last couple days that we were together. My bad. I didn't.
Well, I didn't know it wouldn't work. I thought it would still work, but I guess it doesn't.
There we go. I updated it. I have so many links to try and drop, for everybody that I try and share. Yes, thank you, Phidippus. She's awesome.
But my other channel. Look, there's so much stuff on there, but what I'm doing primarily now and probably forever is I am reading ghost stories and discussing ghost stories and different stuff that goes on around my haunted house that I'm in right now. So if you like, it's not terribly spooky. Some of them are. It's not horrible. We try to keep it, on the calm. It's Avalon Cottage. So if you go to my channel, you'll see a link to that one. So
on your About Me?
I think it is, but if you go back on my community page, I know I refer to it a lot. And people confuse it because it's not Avalon, it's Avalon, Avalin Cottage, but it's still a very small channel because I was really piddling around with that when I decided to get serious and start Silky Southern Tea. And then I left it and didn't even look at it and came back, CJ, like months later. I had done a couple of ghost story things just because I promised my viewers that I wouldn't leave forever. I'd come back periodically. And I come back and I'm like, I've got all these subscribers and stuff. I'm like, dear Jesus, what happened here? So now I'm like, some people like this. I'll tell them. I'll tell the stories.
Hell
There you
yeah.
go.
So there's the link for that, the Avalon Cottage channel. And anybody, there's some people typing. It looks like you're delayed. So do me a favor, anybody, just hit the refresh real quick in case you are delayed, because I still see some stuff being typed about timber, and we've already went through that a bit ago there. Okay. So we're gonna get back to this. This is, again, conversation originally aired on November 29th, 2022. And this is us talking about the intoxicated person. Keep in mind, this is just information that's only been out, or we're going off of stuff that wasn't out, but people are digging, trying to figure out why is nobody saying anything. There's something very suspicious from the beginning. Why is nobody saying anything? This is too weird. Press conferences, why aren't they answering anything? This is too weird. Something's out there. We're all looking for whatever's out there just to try and make sense of it all.
There. Yeah, okay. Now, this is why I got confused here for a second, because the only time I've known about a moose lodge was like old people going to it and you threw horseshoes and shit. Like, I didn't know it was some I didn't know it was some right. What?
I thought it was a hotel until I Googled it. I'm like, what is this? Yeah. And I found out it was a frat house. That's what I'm saying. Are we sure that they were really at the Sigma Chi frat house or the other frat house?
Well, they said the Sigma Chi house was one of the that in downtown Moscow. But you know what? Look at the map though. See what's orange is downtown, right? Orange is downtown. I would assume that this would be considered part of downtown then. So I'm wondering, this is what I'm wondering now, Valerie. I'm wondering if something started. I'm wondering if something started at the Sigma Chi, then they left, went to this one, those people followed them up there, and that's where the calls to the LE started taking place about somebody bugging them. I'm wondering, because it doesn't make sense to me, why would the Sigma Chi be the location of an interest and then downtown? Well, Moose Lodge is considered downtown Moscow. So you're looking at Moscow, downtown, Moose Lodge, and you're looking at Sigma Chi. So you're looking at both parties. And I'm wondering...
Oh, boy. People, never mind. I'm just going to type it in chat. There's a big message on the screen that says originally aired on November 29th, 2022 in neon blue. I don't know how people are missing
now.
Right. I don't understand.
If it started at the Sigma Chi,
big and blue. Come on.
They tried to leave and de-escalate the situation, went somewhere else. These people followed them and continued to cause problems, but it just kept getting worse and worse to the point where they did have to place the call at Moose Lodge. And then they went home, and then I'm wondering if they ended up following back home after that. Wow.
You notice how they didn't go straight home? They didn't go home until later. Maybe they felt like the people would go to their house next. So let's not go home right now. Let's hang out. Let it die down and go home later.
Yeah.
But the people came back for you later. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know, that's just like a domestic dispute between someone that knows. Like, I don't want to go home right now. Let me let it die down. And if they're following you from this frat frat party to the other, then yeah, they're gonna come to your house too, because it must have been something very serious what was going on with them. It had to be something.
And that's a good point too. Yeah, you're not if
Right, we've already discussed the Moose Lodge and her confusion and all this other stuff. So instead of stopping it every 2 minutes, I'm just gonna let it keep going.
if they keep following you from one party to the next, you made a good point. You're not going to probably go home right away because
You're
you
not
know
gonna
that
go
they're going to
home.
follow you there.
No,
Yeah,
they're
that's
gonna
a
show
very
up.
good
Oh
point.
boy.
Yeah.
Wow. Jen K says Washington State University is only 10 minutes away, and there were some interesting things that happened by the campus that night.
What?
What happened,
happened?
Jen? And if so, you should check their. I'm guessing they do not have campus meetings. I'm not sure. Wow, wow. Thank you so much.
But yeah, I just wanted to show
That's
you. I didn't want to
crazy.
hold you up your time, but I'm
Oh,
like,
no, you're
I had
not.
to talk to someone about this, huh?
No, you're not holding me. No, you're not holding me up at all. Really, it's just I'm a kind of on the fly show where it's updates. You know, I'm kind of I have my videos when I go into it, and then it's just kind of organic after that. So you're not interrupting anything, trust me. And I totally appreciate you coming on and sharing this. I mean, wow, I'm starting to question a lot of my own thoughts on certain things, not who the target was and such like that. But now, you know, bringing in this Moose Lodge, it is kind of technically downtown if you're looking at the Google and you got the orange for downtown and it's just right at the tip there.
Because
And
as
then
you
the
think,
Sigma Chi, yeah, like it just
right,
makes me think it was two
right.
parties, like you were saying. You're not going to go home after the second instance when you're calling
Yeah.
cops. Wow.
Mm-mm.
Good work.
You're not. You're gonna try to
Good
avoid.
work.
And then the thing about it is, you knew it couldn't be those other two girls at the Grubhub truck because they went to a whole different thing. They were at the corner bar. You know, they didn't even know that they had got into it at the frat party with these people. Those girls didn't even know. And I really feel bad for them because really they got killed behind some other people's dispute from a frat party. Those girls had nothing to do with this.
Yeah,
But they
it's
knew
all
those girls,
sad.
they knew they were asleep though. If you think anybody's going to be a witness to what you do, you're going to take everybody out. That's just common sense of a sicko like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you're wanting to get away with it, yeah. Jen K said that there was a knife pulled at a frat house. That
you know
same
they
night
want to
too.
get away with it. You know they want to get away with this, CJ. If you hear any little thing, oh, let's go check and see if they're up. I think they probably heard those girls moving around because if those girls were calling Jack back to back to back to back to back, those girls were scared. Now it makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So that Jack boyfriend guy, he didn't do anything. Those girls were calling him because they were scared because they heard those people downstairs. And those people heard those girls moving around.
You know, that's what I always thought the whole time that the calls were not like, you know, hey, call me back kind of thing. Like the way that those calls were and how they took place.
Was scared calls.
Yeah, and the only thing that told me those weren't was the fact that they were from 220 to 250 when the police were saying that the crimes took place between 3 and 4. So that was the only reason why I was like, well, maybe not. But no, what you're saying makes complete sense.
They said their people were downstairs at 2:15. They said they were down there at 2:15 a.m. rambling on the second floor. The two guys were rambling at 2:15. I believe those girls were murdered by 3 o'clock. I believe they were already gone by 3 o'clock. I'm sorry to say it like
after
this
the last
and to
call.
even say that. Right.
Yeah,
after the last call, those girls were shortly after that. They were gone. They were gone before 3 o'clock a.m. And there's a report also on there of the call that was made to the house, and it said the call was made at 11:56 and it was an unconscious person. They had a call about the unconscious person to the King Road address on November 13th at 11:56 a.m. and it said a call about an unconscious person. That's what the call came about. And then when they got there, they seen that the people were dead there. That's what happened. They got a call about unconscious person.
And Jen K brings up a good point, and it's a good question too. They wouldn't have been in bed if they were fighting. Now they're not saying who was found where, or they're not necessarily in their respective rooms where they slept. I'm kind of confused about all that.
The report that I read to you tonight said that Ethan was on the wall, like he was in the doorway. He was in the doorway and she was in the room. It didn't say they were in the bed. The
so
report that I read tonight.
Doorway? Into the bedroom?
You know, like out of the door. He was like out, like he went out the room to go wherever, you know, where the commotion with the guys. He went out the room. They said he was out the room and she was in the room. They never said they were in the bed. She was in the room and he was out the room. Yes, they were not in the bed, CJ. Ethan and
No. That's what they were reporting like a week ago, but the coroner, I think it was Friday, it came out and said that they weren't necessarily found in their bed and they weren't necessarily on the same floor that they respectively sleep on.
And as they say, Zayna and Ethan had defense wounds because the people that came after them from that frat party, they fought with those people.
Really? Jen says they are gathering evidence from the cars, which I thought was odd. What do you think they might have in the vehicles, Jen? And Jen says, right, but if there was fighting going on, no one would have been laying in bed waiting. Someone comes after you with a knife. You're not.
Exactly.
No, of course not.
They weren't asleep. They were up.
No.
They wasn't asleep.
No.
They were up.
Nobody's
They heard those people coming.
That.
That's why Ethan walked out that room because he probably heard them coming in that sliding door because those people knew the code. They knew how to get in. If you hear someone coming in your sliding door, you're gonna walk out your room and go see what's up, and that's what he did.
Do you think there was a confrontation or an argument, or do you think they just went right for?
I think there was a confrontation,
like a argument in a way at first.
In a quick way. I think I'm not gonna say that the people went there with malicious intent, but they went there. They went there prepared because you wouldn't have took that knife with you. There's no way you would have took that knife if you didn't have intentions of, hey, we're gonna get into a fight. You know, if he overpowers me, I'm gonna, whatever. You have when you take a weapon, you have intent of, hey, if this gets out of hand, I'm gonna use this.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Like you're gonna use it if you bring. Yeah, Jen. Nobody was saying anybody was laying in bed. For sure.
No, and they knew it was a house full of people, and they knew that they were gonna have to fight. And one person is not going to go in one house with 6 people and be like, I'm about to kill you guys, knowing that somebody possibly is up. You're going to go with 2 people. You're not going to go with one. And that's why it always bothered me. How did this one person fight off Ethan and Zayna at the same time? I know they were not asleep.
That's a good question.
I don't know. That's just what I thought.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. It would be interesting. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. Let's be real. Would I be standing by my theory that I made by, on 11/29/2022 with only 2 weeks of information and Ellie's not sharing anything? It would be kind of hard to stand by it if you think about it, because it's a different time, different information, but it would be interesting to see how much she does still, like when it comes to the comparison of before. When I was going through this with the mods a couple nights ago, me and some of the mods were talking about this episode, and I went back on Twitter and I went down to the messages because when I started the show, that's when I also had a Twitter account, and so I went ahead and was on Twitter. The show's on Twitter. That's how I ran across this person. They ended up following me off of Twitter, and then came to the YouTube channel. And so I had went to my old messages from back then, and there was a lot of links and stuff that I clicked on. There's a lot of stuff that I ended up saving, and I'm gonna reach out to her too. That's the only way I know how to reach out to her is on Twitter. So I don't know if it's still an act. I'm sure it's still active, but not sure if it's still checked or anything like that. But I'm definitely going to reach out to her and see if she would like to come on sometime and see what she still thinks. So, with everything that's come out, and because she does bring up some good points, especially with, if Ethan and Zaina were still up, how that too, Mishy girl, like with all those vehicles out front, to think that you can go in there like she did, like she brought up, to think that you can go in there with all those vehicles out there, think you can go in there and get away. It's a task. Number one, not so much if people are asleep, but for sure if people are awake, because they're going to fight for their life in that situation. So I definitely understand. It does make sense.
I would be very interested to hear her theory, and especially because, if she is from the area, I assume she is.
No,
she's not. Oh,
No.
okay. It makes me wonder what else she may have heard.
Well, this is all stuff that she's going off of, like, this is at a point where Ellie wasn't saying nothing. The only people you're getting local news or national media, which isn't saying much. So a lot of people were on Reddit and 4chan and Facebook and, TikTok and all that stuff, sharing a lot of this stuff. So some of these theories that she does have is some stuff that is, from the early days of nobody not knowing anything and everybody trying to figure it out and trying to talk to this person and that person. Just a lot of stuff, a lot of theories and thoughts going around.
There was one thing. It's been a while back in the chat where someone was talking about Murphy and how nobody heard him barking, and was he drugged or whatever. But look, and I would just say, for people who have dogs, like when you smell the red stuff, he had to hear something, sense something. And definitely that smell would have been there. You would have thought that a dog would be barking its head off. Nobody says anything. So there you've got, I don't think Murphy slept through it all, but they said he was there locked in another room. So why wasn't there barking?
Well, and you even have like Brett Payne is using Officer Nunez's body cam. He's reviewing Nunez's body cam to write the PCA. And that's when he writes in the PCA that's when he noticed that a dog was at the property, was only because he reviewed Nunez's body cam. He didn't know that a dog was there. So the dog was already gone by the time that Brett Payne got there. And he was being basically led and shown things. So there's been so many questions about the puppy. Where was the puppy? Why did nobody hear the puppy? But yeah, like animals sense that stuff. And, even if Murphy was in a locked room, I'm not a dog whisperer or nothing, but I would think that even if the dog was in another room, they do sense that stuff. They do have a high sense of smell and taste. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to smell that danger, and they're gonna, if not, they're gonna be crying or something. The animals do sense that stuff. I mean, why do you think they even go? They can pick out a grave site of their loved one and go sit on their grave because they have that. There's that odd. That's why people love pets. There's that weird connection between an animal and an
Yeah.
owner.
And, reports of when they can sense that their owner or people that they love have passed, they howl. So there were so many buildings close by, you would hear a dog, even if you just thought it was annoying. Like, my God, was that dog barking at? I've heard them in different places that I've lived. The neighbor's dog, and you're like, my God, I wish that dog would shut up. Um, there's that. And then somebody made a comment just a minute ago about, and I've wondered this from the very beginning. It's a Saturday night. Why did they go out and nobody was coming over? Even if they were going to go out, we know people came over, all the time when they weren't there. It does seem strange to me that on a Saturday night, when that's like your biggest party night, like Friday, Saturday, especially Saturday, why was it so quiet over there?
I don't know. They did have a party that Friday night, and there was a football game, so they all got together for the football game and had, there was two football games. I think Saturday night was the football game, so maybe just everybody was already out, having fun. Uh, and because there was a game, the only thing that was going on afterwards was a party at Sigma Chi or whatever fraternities or sororities, and not necessarily a palace. It is weird because it's stated as one of the you hear all the neighbors and they talk about how there's always music coming from uh there's always music coming from the property. There's always uh commotion and everything going on, and then that was the one night that was going on, was that Saturday night.
Yeah,
Nothing was going on. So that's why I still continue to feel like it, the incel at Queen Road, and the incel at Queen Road would have never even noticed all the amount of cars that were parked out in the parking lot,
right.
and they would just know the second floor and the third floor because of them creeping. And when you look at the crime, what was the floors that had the events that took place? It was the second and the third floor. So the incel, when it comes to them and they're living there, who they're not going to notice how many cars are out front. They're probably not even going to care. All they're caring is to go in there and create as much damage as possible. And when it comes to an incel, the reason that the incel feels that the way that they are is because they're not successful in social situations. So when you're already in that position, you already think less of yourself. And when you usually think less of yourself, and then you have some mental issues that make you feel like it's okay to do the things that you're doing, well, then you're probably in a position where if you go in there to commit the crime, you're so focused on getting to the individual that caused you all this pain, and even if something happens to you afterwards, it is what it is
Yeah,
when you're in that mode. So I could definitely see somebody not knowing how many vehicles were out front and not really giving a fuck, because they've already made the decision at that point that they're going to take care of what they wanted to take care of. And they already know, when it comes to the reality of the situation, they already know that something could potentially go wrong, and therefore they could get hurt. And that's why I will always continue to say the person that walked in there to commit the crime, there's no way they would have had that sheath in their hand. There's no way you're going to have that on a belt loop. When you talk to anybody that owns one, they say it's hard as hell to even get it off a damn belt loop. So
yeah,
if you're going to tell me that that's going to come off in a struggle with somebody when it's meant for combat, face-to-face combat, I don't see how something would easily come off with a little tussle upstairs when it's meant for our military and to be, you know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
it just doesn't, that just doesn't make sense either. So
Right. Right. And I mean, there's so many. There really are so many, in my opinion, different things that could have happened. I think, you know, we talk a lot in Delphi about Occam's razor, but usually, and if you don't know what Occam's razor is, I had to look it up a couple times. But it basically means that it's the theory that whatever makes the most sense, whatever is the most common, is usually the truth. And if you're going to use that Occam's razor theory, Ryan Koberger is way out of that. I mean, he wasn't as far as we know, he wasn't someone close to them. He didn't interact with them every day. I mean, but do things like this happen? Of course. And he could be guilty. But at the same time, you've got a lot of people that are closer. And when you talk about the fraternity, now this is just a theory, allegedly, y'all don't come after me. But who were the frat boys who were involved, and what connections do they have to the university or to people of importance? In my opinion, you have to ask these questions.
oh, they have. I mean, Ethan was a member of Sigma Chi. His brother's a member of Sigma Chi. His sister was voted queen of Sigma Chi.
But I mean, outside of Sigma Chi, like, who are their parents, grandparents? How much money have they donated? Do you know what I'm saying? Who do they know? Who are they related to? These are things that could be important. Maybe don't have a thing to do with it, but they could be. And to me, that is a closer answer than somebody from Pennsylvania who's
Mm-hmm. I mean, and you don't even know how many were out front. Obviously, it was members of a fraternity that were there. The university, I don't know. It's almost like, I don't know. I just keep, huh?
The incel theory, that's great. Like, that's a really good one.
I mean, I don't know. It just, I don't know. I can see somebody just coming home and being frustrated because, just with, like, they had to have a lot of fun out back,
Yeah, sure.
And which the FBI profilers, ever since the beginning of this case happening, they were screaming incel. I wasn't screaming incel as much because I couldn't see Brian Koberger being an incel, and so therefore I just didn't really get on that incel theory too much until I actually went out there. Now, I've always talked about like how I felt like the person was behind the crime scene where the blue car is. That's something that's always been there from like right around where this episode aired, is where I've always felt like somebody was back there. But after I went there, this spot right here, after I went there, that's when I was like, oh wow. Especially because, again, like I said, I was there for 7 days and nobody even thought I was suspicious, and I was getting out, sitting in the car. I would say, other than getting footage and photography, most of the time when I was there, more than half the time was me just sitting there, either getting something prepped on the computer or going through notes or different things like that, because I had a spot where I could sit and kind of do work too. And this was in the daytime and at nighttime. And so to me, that really spoke volumes, because I was like, dang, if it can be this dark back here, and you got to think that that parking lot's not big. Most of the cars, you see the footage, most of the cars park in the same spot, so it's the same people. And when I'm a vehicle and I'm a stranger and I come and I park there, and even at night when I'm sitting back there with the headlights off, sitting in the vehicle with the with the illumination from the dash, so I do, you can see there's somebody sitting in a vehicle. Even with that, nobody was, suspicious of anything. So to me, it was like, wow. I'm
Yeah.
sitting back here, I'm looking how dark it is, and nobody's thinking that there's any, which I wasn't doing anything suspicious, but nobody's even thinking that.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, I could be literally just living here and nobody's going to think anything took place, and I could just be
Yeah.
sitting in my car. If they're not going to think a stranger is suspicious sitting in his car, then why would they think that somebody that lives in the apartment of the car that they see there all the time is going to be suspicious sitting in their car? And right there, you got all the time in the world to sit back and watch everything that's going on.
Yeah. And I think that's why the incel theory is even more likely. You know what I'm saying? Going back to the whole, because again, this unidentified incel still is right there in the area. Makes so much more sense than somebody driving around from Pullman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could happen. Weirder things have happened, but yeah, I just don't think that they have investigated people in the area or people close to this nearly enough. But that's just my opinion.
It's like this. What if, what if during the trial, there's, for reasonable doubt, if you mix the incel theory video that I made and you mix that with why I feel that Maddie or Kaylee own the K bar, those two things mixed together, in my opinion, throw a ton of reasonable doubt over the whole thing. Just
Right.
those two things right there. And to say that they're not possible, how could it not be possible that it was one of the victims used for defense? And that's the reason why the DNA was found underneath the most protected area of the sheath, under the button snap.
And even if they didn't own that weapon, like they didn't buy it, I mean, how easy would it have been for them to get it from a friend or a guy and say, look, I feel like I need protecting. Or somebody just say, you should have a weapon. Here, keep this in case.
Especially the girls with, how even Kaylee was reporting people following. There was even a conversation about her saying that she saw people in the back.
Yeah.
A couple times. So why wouldn't somebody, hey, I saw this K-bar off in a pawn shop or on Marketplace, or hey, Jimmy was asking me if anybody wanted to get one because he had a friend that needed some extra money this month because he was short, and he had a couple of them. So yeah, I'll get it for one of the girls, and I'll give it to him for protection. And I mean, hell, you guys saw him handling all these other humongous sharp objects in different pictures and videos. Who's to say they didn't have that as protection and put it on one of their shelves and it just sat there? So in case somebody did, because it was girls that just lived there. So maybe they were like, you know what? I don't want to own a gun. So maybe I'll just own a knife. And then we'll just have it up there in case somebody does happen to come in here, because we are girls. We are attractive females. We are females that are out there on social media. We are females that out there have a following. Why wouldn't they have mace and a knife or something, right?
Exactly.
A taser, something. So who's to say it wasn't a gift, but that's reasonable doubt. To say that sheath is the for the murder weapon, I mean.
Yeah, and I agree with Chad. People were cleared way too early.
Mm-hmm.
Way too early.
Yeah. Even the Steve and Christy even said that. And that's when they, made the statement about she had a good alibi, but we feel like people were, why can't we see the alibi? Why can't we know what her alibi is if it's a good alibi? just nothing but questions, questions, questions. So there's just a little bit left of this conversation. I'm not sure if we're getting into the same thing over and over, but I'm just going to go ahead and check it out, and we'll see where we go from this point.
You were in bed. You spoke to the family. What to? And I did hear that the dad came out with a new video this morning on Good Morning America or something. I'm going to look for that in the meantime while we keep chatting. And Jen says, I was watching the cars behind being towed, and all the police would say is they could protect and gather evidence.
Possibly they were in one of those fires that night, you know? Possibly they were in the car. Maybe that's how they got to that other party so fast.
Yeah, good sleuthing. Let's take a couple minutes here, and I want to hear what this dad says real quick from this Good Morning America interview. 1 second, and then we'll get back to chat. Okay, just one moment.
4 University of Idaho students. Police now sifting through hundreds of tips, thousands of pieces of evidence. Arcana Whitworth has been on this story for us. Spoke with the father now of one of the victims. Kana, good morning.
Hey, TJ, good morning. Kaylee Gonzalez's father told me they moved to this region of Idaho because it was safe. There had not been a homicide in Moscow in 7 years. And now this morning he tells me the only thing worse than losing his daughter, her best friend, and 2 others is not knowing why or who is responsible.
This morning, students on edge at the University of Idaho as the search for the killer in that brutal quadruple homicide enters its 3rd week.
It is disconcerting that there is somebody out there who's done such a horrible thing and they haven't been caught.
The school posting this notice on social media Monday, writing increased security will be on site for the remainder of the semester. Steve Gonzalez, the father of one of the victims, 21-year-old Kaylee, now shedding new light on what happened that night in his first sit-down interview.
It was fast, and nobody suffered and nobody felt like that kind of pain.
2 other roommates survived on the ground floor, waking up several hours later, calling friends over when their roommates were unresponsive.
Do you know the reason why the initial concern was that a roommate was passed out?
I know the girls reached out via texting and calling, so I can only assume that by the phones being ignored, knowing how my daughter is not going to ignore calls and texting.
Officials maintain the murders happened between 3 and 4 a.m. and that the first 911 call was made around noon. Just hours later, Steve was informed of his daughter's death, not by police, but by family members on campus.
Let's call Maddie. And then you realize Maddie's gone too.
Madison Mogan was Kaylee's lifelong best friend. The pair seen together in their final hours of life, laughing and ordering late-night food before getting a ride home together in what Steve described as a sorority-designated driver service.
You can't imagine sending your girl to college and then they come back in an urn.
And now, the families of the victims growing frustrated by the lack of answers.
I haven't earned the ability to grieve the way that I want to grieve. I want to be able to have justice first.
Now, Steve says that he does plan to speak at the candlelight vigil tomorrow. He went on to say he doesn't want the city of Moscow to fall apart over this. And TJ, in a show of solidarity, that candlelight vigil will be held in various locations across this entire state.
All right, Kana, we thank you so much. And I want to bring in now ABC News contributor and former FBI agent Brad Garrett. The family's looking for answers, some details as they continue to trickle out, some of the new details we're hearing. What stands out to you?
So you have 4 people killed on 2 different floors of a house, which would certainly suggest, TJ, that somebody at least knew the basic layout of the house. Think about how long it would take to go from victim to victim. So somebody had patience. The police have described a combat-type knife. So the person apparently went there to really do what they ended up doing. So once you've eliminated, and I assume this has happened, sort of the immediate circle, college students that are around these kids, people that may have threatened one of them, stalked them, whatever. I'm not hearing anything that supports a killer in that group. So what do you have to do if there's not an immediate connection? You have to go to sort of a wider circle. You would look at, for example, maybe or maybe not somebody older. I only suggest that because this crime appears to be very focused and the person had a comfort level in the house. And so as a result, you start looking at sort of relationships that really aren't tight with these kids. See, somebody they met occasionally, somebody that may have come to the house to attend a party. Apparently this was a big party house. And so that makes it more difficult. Less connections makes it more difficult many times to solve a crime. And you're also going to have to look, and the police have already talked about this, of similar type crimes in other parts of the country, in particular in the Northwest, which they're saying initially there is no connection, and there may not be, but you're really going to have to look at this bigger circle that I'm suggesting.
A wider circle, somebody that knew the layout, some of those details, but what type of person, and somebody could argue, what kind of monster are they looking for?
So if somebody that's done this before, I mean, TJ, people who do this kind of stuff get a big thrill out of doing it. Now, we don't know if it's that type of person, but that it could be something like that. The idea that you killed 4 people just tells me that this was sort of driven by something you intrinsically wanted to do, less so than maybe one student mad at another student.
You can only imagine the fear in that community, knowing that person is still out there. Brett Gary, we appreciate you.
It's crazy.
And I'm going to pause it right there for a minute. I thought that was kind of interesting because he said, that reporter said Steve G said he didn't want Moscow to fall apart. He even knew, you know,
Right.
he even knew, like, yeah, if this affects enrollment, it will. It was obvious to everybody Moscow would fall apart. And that's why I think the university, go back to the others. Yeah, that too, Katrina. That too. Like, it's just they knew the university right off the bat. Damage control, enrollment control. Make sure, you know, we're gonna still do the University of Idaho Phoenix deal because, you know, everybody else is backing out of it for $1 billion, and you know why. They opened up the books. They saw the lawsuits that continue to pour in for that university. The amount of money that, you know, you're buying it for $550 million, and these lawsuits are for $150, $200 million, and there's a bunch of them. So you're purchasing a property that you're going to have to continue to. It just doesn't make any sense, and it's all to just make sure that if you do lose enrollment, you have something to fall back on to your investors. Well, we might have lost 5,000 students, you know, physically, but we gained 65,000, you know, with this connection to the University of Phoenix that's located at the Kibbe Dome.
Yeah, you get deep stuff there.
Which one is that, Riddler? What case is that? It'd be interesting to look that up.
Yeah.
I thought that was weird. I never noticed that before. Steve saying he didn't want Moscow to fall apart over this. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's
sorry. Go ahead.
Obviously, I mean, you know, I guess, you know, I have not been to Moscow, but I used to live in Virginia and close to a small college town. And absolutely, I mean, you know, if something devastates the college, it's going to affect every business. You know, look, that's how they survive. If you don't have the college there, you don't have the people, you don't have the instructors, you don't have, you know, all the maintenance and all of the administrative and as well as students. But like, then you don't need 5 nail salons, you know.
Yeah, and then the people that are needing food and groceries, and they're taking their money and putting it into your you know, and yeah, it's this huge whirlpool that feeds off of itself from one section to the next and continues to feed off of itself. And if you you disrupt that. I mean, I'm sure their local economy took a humongous hit when just less than half the students came back.
Yeah.
You know, that's the whole reason why the university, because they were already prepared from COVID for the online stuff, but there were certain classes you just couldn't do online. It wasn't allowed. And when they switched those classes to become online available, that's when you know they're like, yo, we need the students whatever way we can. Because that does affect their funding too. The more students they have, the more money they get. Just
Sure.
based off of enrollment.
Right. But yeah, I mean, in a sense, you can see where law enforcement felt pressured to keep as much of the university, even though it happened with the students, intact, because it was going to affect so many people negatively. But, and so I kind of get it on one hand, like you're trying to do damage control. But on the other hand, if you have the wrong person, guess what? There is still a SK out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if this person does get off, now you have, because you've waited, it's not the last 48, it's the first 48. You've waited this long. If BK does get found not guilty, you've waited this long to explore all these other thoughts and theories that could be out there. Now what are you going to have? You ain't going to have shit. You ain't going to have shit. And then what happens? Your truth and justice doesn't happen. It stays the same way until who knows how long from then.
Right. And if that person ever commits another crime or admits to it, or, if you're talking about somebody else out there, how many years before, if ever, are they connected to this one? And you've got somebody dangerous out there. If it's not BK, it's clearly somebody. And, it's going to happen again.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But,
and who knows if it'll even ever be connected, because even if, I've seen some of the other cases where people get found not guilty around there. And, if they feel and they're so headstrong about one person or a person or persons that are involved, even if they're set free, they don't really try to pursue it anymore after that, because they're so convinced that even though the jury didn't see it way, they're still convinced that they were the ones that committed the crime. So there's no reason to go explore other theories and tips. So, they won. They just needed somebody charged before the next semester to stop the avalanche that was about to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of like the conversation we had on Discord sometime this weekend. A lot of people are like sheep. And I'm not saying they're stupid, but it's like they believe because they want to believe, because it's more comfortable and it gives them a sense of security to believe that they've got the right person in custody. Because you don't want to poke a hole in these theories, because then all of a sudden you're unsafe and everything that you know is not true. And that's not anywhere you want to go. So people believe because they choose to stay in the dark, because they have that sense of security when they're not secure, but they feel like they are, and that makes them happy. I mean, I'm not one of those people, clearly, but
no, it don't make me happy. My mind doesn't shut off at that point. It's just, I could be playing a video game and my head's still thinking about shit. I mean, my head, I have so many different it's just like all the cases that I do work on. I have so many different freaking cases that I have prepped, and so many things going on at the same time. But that's just what I enjoy. I enjoy having all these things going on and being able to focus on all these different things, because my mind continues to just go. No matter what, my mind is always going. So when it comes to stuff like this, it just makes me question until something makes sense.
I'm the same way. I have so many cases prepped. I don't have time to do them. Riddler said that he was referring to the Gainesville. I don't know if I can say that word or not. I don't think I
Oh,
can.
Ripper.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Edward Humphrey was arrested, but it was Danny Rowling. Danny Rowling, what a crime case that is! What a roller coaster. He was something else.
Yeah, sick individual too. It's crazy the similarities that are with the case. Not only the weapon, but even like sneaking in to commit a crime, like this. And that's why, because it's funny, Riddler, you mentioned that because back around this time period, somebody had mentioned about a special screening of Scream a couple weeks before the crime took place. And right around this area, I remember looking up the movie and who it was based off of, and then we looked up that case, and that's when I saw like the dude was using a K-bar. He was sneaking into people's homes and committing these horrific crimes. And that's when I'm like, well, who says that they didn't sneak in? There was no signs of forced entry. So that's when I started thinking, well, who's going to think that they're going to have to lock the sliding glass door upstairs when there's no stairs to go up there? So I could definitely see somebody going, well, I don't have to lock this one up there because who in the hell is going to come through it? You can't get up there. So that's when I'm like, well, maybe the person did hide in there or something, because it just didn't make sense. Like the question that kept getting brought up, in this episode even is how can somebody go in there with the vehicles outside with who says that they didn't know that there was a party there earlier that night and there wasn't a bunch of people passed out on the floor, like you never know. Like there could have been a shit ton of people passed out the floor. To tell me with all the parties that happened there, to tell me that there was never any parties where a bunch of people were passed out the floor. Usually that's what happens because people get too intoxicated and they either don't want to walk or they just want to pass out. Because I mean, I don't know, maybe my parties were different, but I remember when parties that I would go to, there'd be people all over the place, all over the floor, the couches. I mean, you could barely even walk through the house sometimes because there were so many people just passed out all over the place. So,
well, yeah, and I mean that's what I was thinking. I don't know how they do it in Idaho, but in Alabama, after the game, and maybe that's because Alabama usually wins, but everybody is celebrating and. Yeah, they may go here or there, but they're going to end up taking it back home. You know what I'm saying? It is, even though it was a football Saturday, I think it would be odd for here, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for the party house.
Yeah, it's to the, you just, I mean, even beyond that, you just take all the all the reports from the neighbors, and how it was a quiet night and how nobody heard anything. And then you listen to the typical of the property, and it's, there's always music and it was usually loud and there's always people there. And so I don't know, it's just really weird how the quietest, the quiet night that usually doesn't take place at that house and nobody heard anything. That's just, it seems odd to me, because if you're used to a property or a house continuing to be a audio issue, for the neighborhood, the one night that nothing's going on, I would think you'd be like, damn, I'm surprised that there ain't nothing going on. And then if somebody's going or screaming or whatever, then that would be more of a thing to go, whoa, wait a minute, usually there's partying and there's not partying, and now I hear a scream. I think that shit would definitely stick out to people. So anybody that was being interviewed and they're saying, oh, it was a quiet night, that's weird too.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then you get into, again, Murphy, if it wasn't, I could see if this happened when there were people in the house and it was just the people upstairs, and if it was noisy, the dog may not be barking because he's used to it. But now you're talking about on a quiet night, and there's only the roommates there, but the dog's not barking when somebody comes in, and you can tell and smell. I have a lot of problems with some elements. Just don't make sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Especially, I mean, who knows? I even wondered if the dog was, I've even wondered if they left, what you're not going to leave unless the dog's potty trained, but still, if it's potty trained and you leave it in the other room with the door shut, how do you know that the dog might need to go to the bathroom and not shit or piss on the floor?
Yeah.
So I almost was wondering, did they leave, the night that they came home? And because Olivia states that she saw the video that the girls were taking Murphy out, right? I always wonder, when she left the puppy in the room, did she leave the door, because it was a small puppy? Did she leave that sliding glass door cracked up there so the puppy could go to the bathroom if it needed to go to the bathroom? Because she thought that maybe, I mean, it was cold, but still, I don't know.
Yeah. It's the smell. It's the
Leaving the
smell of
dog.
the red stuff, Danny, for me. Because, I used to have a doodle years ago.
Oh.
And I understand what you're saying. Yeah, he wasn't a big barker, but when you're in the house and
Dog.
that's, yeah, so I can understand not knowing a stranger, but you would still, I mean, the smell that the red stuff gives off would definitely should have been alarming to the dog.
Oh yeah, for sure. Very alarming because it is a distinct smell in the dog. Yeah, the dog was a party dog, and yeah, it's more about the scent and the sense from the animal, not necessarily before the crime or maybe running into the person that committed the crime, the puppy. They're a lovable puppy. When we talk about strangers being at the house, being on the body cam when none of the people that live there are there, who's to say the dog wasn't upstairs, or Jack, or to say that the dog wasn't around strangers. I don't see that because there were so many strangers that would show up. I would imagine as soon as somebody shows up, that dog is wanting to get petted and give them some kisses because they just want to be loved. They just want to be loved, and it's a dog that's used to strangers. Why would it bark if it never saw this person that was dressed clad in black before? Well, because it's a lovable dog. It wanted to be loved by everybody. So,
Riddler, you're saying some very interesting things about that case in Florida.
Yeah, the similarities are crazy. You should look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to have a discussion with Riddler about some of that stuff. I mean, when with Danny Rowling, he was involved in so much, and I mean, oh my God, and I don't even know if he was involved in everything he admitted to, but certainly he was, going on a spree across the country. But yeah, I mean, you see what he was saying is Humphrey was under surveillance for reports of odd behaviors like wearing camouflage, and he had an obsession with knives. I mean, again, see how easy it is to like stereotype somebody? They're weird. They have this weird look. BK, has that odd stare. I mean, does it make him look suspicious? Yeah, to some people it does. I mean, he's got that very intense look. There's a lot of things, but that doesn't make him alone being odd or standing out for any reason doesn't make you guilty. And that IGG, just don't even get me started on that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and the reasonable doubt, the sheath and the knife could have been owned by Kaylee or Maddie, and the person that committed the crime could have been right next door. And next thing you know, that they're not even suspicious for leaving and not coming back because the university was totally pampering.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have lost the best sleeve that the best lead they would have ever had before the new semester even started, because right then they just, yeah, go home, guys, go be comfortable, go spend time with your family, even though we didn't interview you and there's 3 unknown male DNA inside the property, and we don't know how many people were outside or anything. But yeah, go ahead and go home, and maybe we won't talk to you, because after that, what are they going to do? Send a team over to frickin' Tennessee or something to go interview a student that they didn't get to interview that might not know anything anyway? I mean, they're not going to do that shit, you know?
And I think it was interesting, CJ. I guess it was on the last show we did. You talked about they picked somebody, across the country. He's an odd guy. He doesn't have any ties there. He's from Pennsylvania. He's more expendable than somebody who is a frat boy in there, related, lives in Moscow or somewhere close by. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, hey, I know Jimmy's uncle and sister, and they know grandpa, and everybody knows, so yeah, but when you can be like, hey, that dude's from way across the other side of the country, and he doesn't even fucking know anybody out here.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's easy to create that perception, and then all of a sudden somebody could look guilty as shit. Anybody can look guilty as shit, people. Anybody can make anybody look guilty as shit. It's just whether the facts are there or not. Even YouTubers deal with that shit, where people make up fucking fake screenshots and all sorts of shit, to make shit look real or to make it look really fucking real, and it's the same kind of shit. It's just anybody can make anybody look any certain way with the way that technology is these days. So you just have to, it's up to here and up to here when what makes sense or not. Let me see. I wanted to share a couple things real quick before we're done. Let me see here. Now, we are here coming up here in the near future. In the next couple shows, we're going to be starting to get into the Enon interviews. We're going to be looking at some of the Enon interviews. We do have a press conference Q&A. There's one more episode of that that we'll be having. And then, like I said, we'll be starting the Enon shows, and then we'll be starting to cover some of these other cases out there too. I wanted to share a couple things before we go. The first thing I wanted to share is there's a new video from Christchurch, and I thought you guys might find this one interesting. It says, "When sinners withstand the wicked," from the one and only Doug Wilson. So here is the link to that. When sinners withstand the wicked.
What is that about?
From the man himself. This is Christchurch, Silky. This is that church in Moscow.
Yeah, okay.
The one that looks like it's an abandoned building, but really it's a church for some, I don't know, it's 8 parking spots. But there's that video for you guys. And then I wanted to share this. This is from Caddy. She sent me. This is when the crime took place, and I had not realized that the University of Virginia tragedy took place right at the same time as the University of Idaho. So I wanted to share this real quick too.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I remember that because it was like back to back, and the only reason I thought, well, I don't think it's connected in any way is because it was the weapon. But I remember this one was kind of kept on the down low because Idaho was just taking over everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is this I'm trying to think. Was there another one that happened at the University of Virginia? Or because I thought one of the wasn't there a something that happened at the University of Virginia from like 10 or 15 years ago? Or because I thought there was something that took place a long time ago, and that's when I was like, oh, wait a minute, is this? I don't remember it just being a couple years ago, but maybe it was. I'm not sure. Do you remember anything else happening at the University of Virginia before?
Not really. I
19?
mean, but there have been several, and some. If you want to get into theories, there are some other strange unalivings by knife that happened on the same day of the month, the 13th, that people have, said, could it be related? I don't know. Weirder things have happened.
Yeah, the coincidences are not a coincidence.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, go down the true crime rabbit hole, but sometimes it's worth the trip. Sometimes you end up in Wonderland.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was the dude that went in there with the gun. Okay, so this was a football team. Okay. Let me see here 1 second.
The tragic loss of.
Huh?
Oh, I couldn't remember. I was thinking it was close. I don't remember it being the same day, but I knew it was close.
Yeah, I was thinking about when somebody went into the university itself and was shooting inside the university. I don't remember. I can't remember the dude's name or anything.
Students tonight in Moscow, Idaho. 4 University of Idaho students were found dead in a home near campus Sunday. And in Charlottesville, Virginia, 3 University of Virginia students were shot and killed last night. John Yang has our report.
Pardon me.
University of Virginia Police Chief Tim Longo was in the middle of briefing reporters this morning when he got the word he'd been hoping for.
We just received information the suspect is in custody.
An emotional moment for Longo and for students like junior Emmy Smith, who had sheltered in place overnight.
It's partially a relief that this is over, but it's just, how do we move forward in a time like this?
Move forward from about 10:30 Sunday night, when a shooting left 3 students dead and 2 others wounded after a bus trip to Washington, D.C. to see a play as part of a class.
I have 2 people shot.
Officials said the dead were members of the football team. Starting wide receiver Lavelle Davis Jr. from Ridgeville, South Carolina, in his 3rd year. Sophomore Devin Chandler, also a wide receiver from Huntersville, North Carolina. And linebacker Deshaun Perry, a senior from Miami. A former football player, Christopher Darnell Jones Jr., has been charged with 3 counts of second-degree murder and use of a handgun. Longo said Jones had come to school officials' attention in September after reports he had said he had a gun.
The comment about Mr. Jones owning a gun was not made in conjunction with any threats.
In a 2018 interview with the Richmond Times-Dispatch, Jones spoke of multiple suspensions from school for fighting while growing up in a Richmond housing project, a much different environment from UVA's picturesque campus designed by Thomas Jefferson. For Emmy Smith, the shooting was a shocking event.
I was just in my room with my friend watching movies on a Sunday night, and I faintly heard gunshots go off. We were instantly bolting the doors, closing all the windows, lights off, moved the floor away from any and all windows.
Overnight, students were urged to shelter in place during an intense manhunt. Some slept in libraries. Across the country, at the University of Idaho in Moscow, Idaho, another shelter-in-place order Sunday after 4 students were found shot to death in a home near campus. Officials are...
Wow, he just said shot to death. Hold on. How in the hell would they get that wrong? I mean, everybody makes mistakes, but damn.
Intense manhunt.
That's why Caddy sent it to me. Thank you, Caddy.
Some slept in libraries. Across the country, at the University of Idaho in Moscow, Idaho, another shelter-in-place order Sunday after 4 students were found shot to death in a home near campus.
What the
Officials are releasing little information in that case, but both events are a grim reminder of the.
Hold on a minute. What date was this? This was November. That's why they. Damn. So so the crime happened on the night of the 12th into the 13th. This is the 14th. This is on a Monday. Monday doesn't say. It's got a PBS NewsHour. I would imagine PBS NewsHour is an evening program. So it's an evening program. Yo, when did they ever? I mean, I know people make mistakes, but damn, this is a day and a half after LE and first responders show up. And then he gets the same, they say the same statement that Christie states when somebody called them and told them that somebody came in and shot the place up. So who? Because LE's not giving any information. They said it right here that they're not talking. Who told PBS the same shit that was being told to Steve G and Christie?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and really
That's
look
crazy.
at this.
Yeah, let me play it one more time. Hold on.
Manhunt. Some slept in libraries. Across the country, at the University of Idaho in Moscow, Idaho, another shelter-in-place order Sunday after 4 students were found shot to death in a home near campus. Officials are releasing little information in that case, but both events are a grim reminder of the nation's.
Huh. Yeah, I know. That's why we're talking about it, Storm Dancer. That's what we just said. We talked about how the families were being told at 1 in the afternoon. Storm Dancer, 1 in the afternoon while they're watching football. Yeah, we covered it already. Yeah, we covered that in our actually we've been covering that the last few nights, almost a week since we had the Consalvis Key interviews, and we heard Christie say that. You must have been gone for a bit. Yeah, we've been talking about it for the last week. That's why I'm referring to it in this video. Like, where are they getting their information from when they come out with the same statement that Christie was making? See? We've already asked that. That's what I'm asking. How do they? How does somebody from PBS NewsHour a day and a half after the crime, who'd they talk to? Where are they getting their information from? They didn't get it from LE because LE wouldn't have told them that the people went in there and shot it up.
Mm-hmm.
The LE's not telling them nothing. So where'd they get their information from? And it's kind of odd that it's the same shit that Christie said that they were called with at 1 o'clock that day, multiple hours before LE even contacted them and confirmed. So very interesting. Yeah, Storm Dancer, definitely check out those. I think we got is either 3 or 4 parts. Key Consalvis interviews, definitely worth the watch because there's a lot of nuggets in there. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Where would they have got that? Because you don't report that shit. You just say, yeah, the 4 students were, killed or whatever in an attack or whatever. If you don't know, you must have going off of a couple sources, and a couple sources are students or something. I just can't believe that you think LE would confirm that, confirm or deny it. if they got the information, PBS got the information about somebody coming in and shooting it up, why wouldn't they have contacted LE for confirmation or denial if that's what took place or not? I don't know. There's just so many questions when it comes to this little video here. So here's the video link if you want to have it. That don't make sense to me. Ooh. I don't know. What do you think? Like, how does the news and this is PBS NewsHour.
Yeah.
This isn't, you know what I mean? This isn't like freaking MSNBC and you know, Jack Toolkit's fucking World Adventures and shit. This isn't like some crazy ass channel. This is PBS News. This is like your school educational shit. Like, I don't know. I would expect more. I don't know. Why do you come out and say that? Because it can't be confirmed. How could that be confirmed?
I don't know. You would think. Look, you would think they would have had a better. I don't know. It's weird. Unless they got it. Unless they were confusing it with Virginia, with that shooting. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds the same as what Christie said in that interview.
Were urged to shelter in place during an intense manhunt. Some slept in libraries. Across the country, at the University of Idaho in Moscow, Idaho, another shelter-in-place order Sunday after 4 students were found shot to death in a home near campus. Officials are releasing little information in that case, but both events are a grim reminder.
See, it's almost like, because when you listen to Christie's interview in that part, she talks about a shelter in place. She talks about how somebody came in and shot the place up. I don't know. You didn't get it from Ellie, because Ellie is not going to tell you that. If you got it from somebody else, you would think that you would confirm or get it confirmed or denied from Ellie.
Yeah.
I can't see, maybe Ellie was like, we can't confirm or deny that, but why would they say that? Even if they didn't have a press conference, why would they not deny it? Because it was obvious there wasn't, unless maybe to them it wasn't obvious, but I don't know. I don't understand. It's weird. It's almost like they talked to students and then it didn't get confirmed or denied because they didn't want to have it out there.
Yeah.
How do they do that? How do they come out and say that shit without it being confirmed? That's huge.
I don't know. I mean, there you go. So, mainstream media isn't always right. For sure. Nina brought up something about, and I had to go way back. She was saying that if Xana went out to get the food from the DoorDash guy, how did she not see the perp when she came back in? Is that how she said it?
Don't even know for sure if she did go out though.
I mean, yeah. I was going to say that's not 100% confirmed because we really don't know what happened. And we don't know 100% that she was even still alive at that point.
We're awake. We don't even know if she was awake. I mean, just because her phone says it's active doesn't mean she was the one active on the phone.
Right. So, if she was, then, but of course she...
The message that says Queen... Who says that she even typed the message?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know. But if she did see somebody, I mean, of course, she's not here to tell us, unfortunately.
I would think if somebody saw something and it's a female, y'all would scream. Y'all scream at a mouse. Why wouldn't you be screaming at some creepy guy coming in the house if you were awake and you saw somebody.
You would think. I'd scream.
Y'all scream at a spider and a mouse. Like, why wouldn't
I don't scream at those, but I would scream if I turned around and I saw somebody, in my house. I would definitely let out a blood curdling scream.
like something?
Yeah.
If you saw something. So I don't know. If all the neighbors are saying it was a quiet night, it almost makes me feel like people were half asleep, like I mentioned, like I was asking you Friday night when it came to getting woke up in an intoxicated state where you're just getting woke up.
Yeah.
You might not even, with how quick everything is, you might not even have a quick enough reaction time to even fucking scream because you're like, wake up. What is going on? Your brain has to process what the fuck is going on first before you can do anything. So, and the delayed response when it comes to being half asleep or woke up out of a sleep and being intoxicated at the same time, it takes a little couple extra seconds more to kind of gain your thoughts and, kind of go from there. I want to say, shout out Storm Dancer, contribution call out for the 5 gifted memberships. Give me a second. I got to scroll down and call them out. Tom Campbell, Vanillas Cupcake, Carol, Control Alt Delete, and Mama 5. So I want to thank you. And then also the Riddler, I want to say thank you for your contribution for a gifted membership. And Julie Dunn got that gifted membership. So welcome new members, and I appreciate the contributions to the show and so the support for the community, and welcome new members. Plenty of stuff in there for you to check out. Let's see. I'm glad I'm the gal my household comes to when they see it. Comes to if they're scared, they know our process. Yeah. Quiet night, did see all activity. I would, that's the biggest question I have, Riddler, is the timestamp real? That's the biggest question I'll always have with that, is if the timestamp is real. The audio, it can be, even Steve G said shit was altered, but even the audio, even if the timestamp's real, I would have to question the audio, just because that can easily be doctored. When it comes to the video, I'm not saying video can't be, because hello, we live in 2024. The technology's fucking ridiculous. When you can even have AI make songs that sound like a person that's been dead for 50 years. But it's a lot harder to do it on a video than it is audio, just from the different sources. So I would like to know, is the timestamp real on the Linda Lane? Because, there's beneficial things, but at the same time, if it's a timestamp that could have just been thrown on there and pieced together and like, this would be good if we, do it at this time, and then all the hours are split up. It's not, one complete, it's all split up in different hours. So I don't know. It's almost like, who knows? It could have been a beautifully doctored video. Hell, you saw TCD in the way that they doctored the dot conversation from what it really was. And we played the whole thing last night to what the conversation was edited into. It almost sounds like 2 totally different freaking stories, when you're listening to that version and then you hear the whole conversation. It's like, whoa, this was left out, and this right here, wait, this was left out, and this is important, and the time that you were confronted about this not making sense, that didn't get put into the clip. It just got put into the clip like it was fact, and then you were done talking and it moved to the next thing. It was a beautiful edit. So people can make beautiful edits. Is the timestamp real? That's, will we ever know? Try.
Maybe.
Try
You never
'em.
know. Hopefully.
If it even gets used, even the times in the PCA that it could be accurate because some of the times may have been manually changed or off auto adjust time. Yeah, there was a daylight savings time that took place. I think it was the weekend before, right? Is that when it took place? The weekend before? The first week of November? I think it was when daylight savings time changed back then. So
Yeah, it probably was not that far off.
too
Yeah.
much movement at 3 a.m. to be considered. Yeah. Like, especially, yeah, like if you do look at the Linda Lane footage and that dude, there was shit. Even at the grub truck, you hear motorbikes and ATVs and trucks and soup can muffler cars and all these, to say that it was a quiet night, I just don't understand. I don't
Maybe
understand.
by comparison, I mean, was it usually a lot noisier than that? And so that was considered quiet? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it was just a quiet night to everybody because there wasn't any activity coming from 11:22 that night when there usually was.
Maybe.
Because just when I was there, even though the house was boarded up, there was, there's tons of people walking, even at night. It's definitely dangerous. There's so many people out there walking. So, I mean, the possibilities are just endless when it comes to any of this. Have I heard of Super Falcon? The Super Falcon green bot to the universe. It's a supercomputer. Huh? Super Falcon. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, the week before daylight savings time, November 6th. Yep, the week before. So unless it was on satellite time or it was pre-built into the components, you had to adjust the time manually. But most cameras these days automatically have, the daylight savings time put into them. So I don't know. It's all questions. It's all.
It is. I mean, but yet your car, and I don't understand. My car does all kind of tricks. It really does. It saved me from a lot of accidents. But yet it doesn't change the time. You would think that it would change the time like my phone does, but it doesn't. So, who knows?
Yeah, is it the vehicle that pulls you back on the road if you're coming off the road, or?
Well, it doesn't pull me back on, but it makes it loud noises and flashing lights
Oh, yeah.
too close to one
Yeah.
side or the other, which happens a lot, by the way, on country roads out here. So, I have that thing with the insurance where, it's, I can't remember what it's called, but, it's the safe driver thing. And they look at how many times you've gone off the road. And I'm like, dear God, I hope they take into consideration that sometimes on a country road, you have to go over the line because there's, an animal in the road.
Yeah, I know.
Stuff.
I was having, oh my gosh, it was driving me nuts because my rental, you're right, because as I'm driving and I have to drive in the middle, or if there's somebody that's pulled over and I gotta, as I'm trying to go over that middle line, the vehicle's like pulling me back over and I'm literally fighting the steering wheel to fucking, that shit was creepy as hell.
Yeah, mine doesn't do that,
I didn't like it.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that either, but mine doesn't pull me, but it does alert me to everything around me all the time. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's so technical. Yeah, it does so many things, but yeah, I have to manually change the time. So what the heck, car?
I would hate to have to fix that computer,
I know.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and end the show. I'm not sure if I'm going to be back tonight. I'm going to kind of leave it up in the air. I got the Freeze t-shirt done yesterday, so I will be introducing the Freeze clothing t-shirt and hoodie tomorrow. I think I'm going to be wearing it on the show, so you guys will get to see the new Freeze. And I'm this close from the clip-on fry t-shirt being available. So we got a couple things that are going to be ready this week, and I'm going to be taking some time, whether it's in the morning or at night. I might split it up on different days. I'm still going to try and be on every day, even if it's only on the morning or at night, if not both. I'm going to be taking some of that time to focus on getting the store completed, so that way once I have these couple done, then I can go ahead and just get everything put up there. And that way everybody has a place to go, because I know there's always people asking about that clip-on fry t-shirt and when it's going to be done. So and it's cool. You got a little F on the tie and everything. And also, with any of the stuff that I'm coming out with, there's going to be an original version of the t-shirt that I make. So like and I'll show you guys in the next couple days as I get this stuff together. There's going to be two options with any of the clothing. So I'm going to have the original, which my original clip-on fry t-shirt is going to be a black t-shirt with a charcoal collar on the t-shirt, and then a charcoal tie to signify the dusty clip-on tie. And then if you want a customized version, if you wanted a clip-on fry with a pink sparkly tie, well, you can have a clip-on fry with a pink sparkly tie. So there's going to be two versions. There's going to be original, and then there's going to be custom. So everybody will have two different options. So you're not necessarily locked into one design. It could be, I want a blue, or I want a red, or I want a yellow, something that will go with whatever. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that, but the original is just going to be that charcoal looking tie. The reason it's charcoal is because it's got to look like it's all dusty. So we'll be having that coming out soon. So other than that, not sure if I'm going to be back on. I might get to working on the store tonight. I'm not sure, but I might pop up live and we'll just have a hangout show or something. But yeah, Silky, thank you for hopping up. I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out, listening to that conversation. Thank you all for hanging out and listening. And also last night too, shout out Swamp Rose. That was a great show with her and Gia. Gia does have her own channel too. So if you go to my community post where I shouted out Swamp Rose, there is a link to Gia's YouTube as well. So definitely go check out that community post. And otherwise, if I don't see you tonight, I will see you guys back tomorrow. What do you got going on tonight, Silky, or tomorrow?
I have something I do on Monday nights, but tomorrow I'm gonna probably go live tomorrow evening, either day or evening, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be talking about Epstein or some other stuff. I've got so much stuff. Who knows? Who knows? I might go live on my other channel and do ghost stories. I don't know. It's up in the air. I'm gonna do 1 or 2 videos lives tomorrow.
Okay. Well, definitely go sub to Silky if you're not. Here's the link again if you're not subbed already. And she's going to be doing a lot more Idaho 4 stuff coming up. She's going to be joining a lot more shows. We're going to be collabing a lot more with Idaho 4 and some of these other topics and cases as well. So thank you again, Silky. Always appreciate your peace, positivity, and progress ever since day one. Thank you all in chat. Appreciate your peace, positivity, and progress. And if I don't see you tonight, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. And peaceful and positive day, too. It's a Monday. Who wants to be on a Monday?
Thanks for having me, CJ. You know, I always love being here, and I want to get you back on my channel as soon as we can work it out.
Oh, Absolutely. We're doing it. You let me know, and I'm doing it. Even if it's tomorrow, let's do it.
Let's do it. All righty. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
Good night. It's afternoon. All right.